Welcome to The Lady Killers, a feminine rage podcast. Hello and welcome to The Lady Killers, a feminine rage podcast. I am your host, Jennifer's Body Adams. Like I said, Jennifer's Body, because I was about to tell you that I took 5 years of French.
I'm aware. I love it.
Je m'appelle Jennifer. And that is in middle school and in high school. I even took the AP exam. I don't think I passed it. I can't remember. I either made a 2 or a 3. And I can't speak any French now except for like...
far is like enough, okay?
Well, it was painful. That was by far my least enjoyable class in all of high school. I'm just not really a language person.
Me either. I wish I was. I get so jealous of people who are too.
Yeah, but it's
I
just
can't
not
do
me.
it. I had that little remember, like, I think it was like Fuzzy or Wuzzy.
Yes,
and he, like,
Muzzy.
Muzzy.
Was it Muzzy?
Yeah,
yes.
and he was the big green monster, and he taught you French.
They would speak French in the commercial a lot.
These kids know French. Like, yeah, he's really cute. And there was just, you know, like other different like ways that my parents tried to get me into learning another language. But not even the Fuzzy Green Monster worked. So,
well, maybe if I had had a Fuzzy Green Monster, I would have learned.
He's
and
really
I would
cute.
still be able to.
Yeah.
But I will say, in my office, I've been saying just "porque" and "pourquoi" recently because it's
Why?
It's fun. Yeah,
It's
just,
a little
that's French
vocal
and Spanish
stim
for
for
why.
ya. Oh, okay.
Yeah, and like donde. Anyways, it's dumb, and my language skills are menial. And the reason that I bring that up is because I would not be able to understand most of this movie. Most of the songs I could understand.
Me too.
'Cause a lot of
The
songs are
soundtrack
in English.
slaps.
I felt
does.
very like dumb American when the songs would come on. I'm like, I get. Oh,
I
it's
know
in
I was like,
English.
oh, this is for me. But yes, the movie itself is in French because today we are talking about Julia Ducournau's Titane. And I think we landed on Titane, right? Is that
That's
how
right.
it
Is
is?
it?
All right.
But like titanium is it's the first half of titanium. So I've been saying titane.
And I think, like, I'm not going to correct anybody. I don't know.
Okay.
I've heard it said both ways. Part of me is like, should we just be saying titanium? Because,
Like the
No,
song.
like, because the
Weird.
nurse in the beginning says
Yeah.
Titane. And I was like,
Titane?
okay, Titane.
Maybe that's
And,
how
like,
they
but
say it in
Titane.
French.
I can't say that. I can't
French.
say it like that the whole show.
Titane.
That'd be annoying.
Say the director's
Titane.
last name again, Jen, because
Julia Ducournau.
Ducournau. Because in all of my
Ducournau.
notes, I just wrote the director because I was like,
Director.
I'm not gonna say
The lovely
look this up.
director. Yeah.
Well, and stay
Julia.
tuned for my plugs at the end, but I just wrote about her and I had to go through and just Command F, find every place and make sure I had it spelled right.
Yeah,
because
it's it's a toughie.
it is a toughie. But this, and you know what? I was going to say, but this movie's not a toughie, but that's not true. This is kind of a tough film. Really excited to talk about it because spoilers, really love this movie for a lot of reasons, but it's a rich text and I'm really excited to hear what y'all think about it because we haven't talked about this at all. And I
No,
know
not
it
at
was
all.
a first watch for some of us.
Mhm.
So Shelby, say hello and tell us, I feel the need because I asked about torture porn. Are you a fan of French extremity?
Yes, and I know I said no to torture porn, but this kind of doesn't make sense. But yes, I
know.
am.
The heart wants what the heart wants, you know?
I don't know. Yeah, like I feel like French extremity always has something really interesting to say. You know what? I'm growing after watching Hostel 2. I do realize torture porn has more to say than I gave it credit for.
That's
so I'm
gross.
growing as a person. Yes, snaps for that. But I do feel like French extremity to me has always, like, growing up watching it here and there, I felt like it always had like something really, and maybe it's because it was in French and it felt more impressive.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
classier.
Totally. Yeah.
Ooh.
And I was like, oh, see, torture porn is torture porn. This is
Yeah.
art, you know?
Yes, yes.
So
Mhm.
yes, I am. I am a fan of French extremity.
Rachel, say hello and tell us, are you a fan of French extremity?
Hello, Rachel Vroom Vroom Reeves here. Very
That
excited
was
about
cute.
this. French extremity. Fan, strong word. I will say I'm learning to appreciate it, but it is one of those things that's like you have to be in the mood.
Oh, for
Yeah.
sure.
You have to
This
be in the
isn't
mood.
a just
I
sling
will
on
say.
willy-nilly
No,
type
it's
of
not
genre.
a have in the background
Yeah.
while you're
No.
like
Nope.
cooking dinner type thing.
No,
Hey guys,
not
we're
a-
having friends over. Do you guys want to watch?
Watch
Let's just
Martyrs?
hop on
Martyrs,
Friday. Yeah,
you know?
let's pop on Martyrs while we have a little convo. Yeah.
I think it's like board. Yeah, like it really does like set a mood in a certain way. So there's definitely been times where it's like I've seen, you're scrolling or whatever and like, oh yeah, I should watch that. And it's like, yeah, maybe not. Maybe not today. Maybe not now at this this second. But I do like it because I do find myself relating to I'm gonna violence, for lack of a better word, relating to that in a different way. It's definitely it makes me think.
Yeah,
that's for sure. This movie being no exception.
Absolutely. I've heard it described, I'm probably going to butcher this, but torture porn are violent films and French Exterminator are films about violence. And that is probably oversimplified. Like it feels like the Stephen King, Dean Koontz kind of comparison. And I don't mean to knock torture porn. Everybody go back and listen to our episode on Hostel Part 2 if you want to hear us discuss this exact same question with torture porn. But Sammy, what about you? I feel like I keep like forcing you to watch torture porn movies.
So this is Sammy Move Over Christine. There's a new horny car in town, Rothman. The whole time I just kept thinking that. I was like, man, wouldn't it be like he would have like Christine would have loved someone like her.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
So I was thinking that a lot of the time. But to answer your question, yes, I'm actually wearing my revenge earrings that Jen got me. I don't have an I Love LA shirt, but this was the closest I could get to a cosplay for that. That was my first French Extremity film. So Jen not only has been showing me these films, but introduced me to the genre. And so I've now seen Revenge, which is my favorite. I have seen Inside. I have seen this one. And then Rocco, actually, I think I would consider High Life a French Extremity film.
I think so too.
Okay.
We've also seen Raw, weren't you?
I wasn't on the Raw episode.
Oh,
no.
that's right. Okay.
But that's one of this director's movies,
Ducournau.
Right?
That's her first one. Yeah.
I'd love to see it. I was not on that episode. I think we were traveling or something.
That's right. Yeah.
But yes, so I'm dabbling, like the toe has been dipped and I think I would say like the whole foot is in, but the rest of my body isn't quite in yet. So I need to really start expanding. And I'm glad that this podcast gives me an excuse to do that because I don't think I would have put this one on by myself. I'll be honest with you. And I'm glad that I did because as we will go on to talk about, it's not violence for the sake of violence. There is meaning behind every violent act in this one. And I found this movie to be more like poetry, just kind of taking stanzas and trying to make sense of what they're trying to say, but just in scenes instead. So I find that most of these, when you're taking a Shakespeare poem and you're like, what is he trying to say here? I'm kind of coming up with myself. And that's kind of how I felt while watching it. But a lot of female directors. All of these have been female directors for me. So I don't mean to, be biased, but I do think that women handle violence better than men. Sorry, guys.
I think in a lot of ways, yes, especially when it's violence against women on screen too. Yeah. And I think, I can't stop, won't stop suggesting and planning French Extremity for us to watch. So we will, I'm sure, expand.
Keep going in. I'll be up to my waist by then, man.
Yes. And you got to be careful because with French Extremity, it'll just like cut you in half. It's a danger.
It really will.
Or your
also,
skin off,
a little tidbit. So I was working on my laptop like this, but like with my legs up, and I dropped it and it slammed right here. And I have the biggest bruise right under my boob. And Mike saw it and was like, oh, you're like Titane. Because it looks like one of her like holes.
Yeah.
And it's purple and black. So it's like, and against my like white skin, it looks like I was like, put my thumb on it. I was like, no. But, it's not open or anything. It's just a bruise, guys. But
if you have a metal baby by the end of this episode, then we're going to be a little
probably be the only type of baby I'd have. So,
well, if in case anyone has just met me or this is your first episode, I love French Extremity. I was scared of it for many years and then finally watched Inside. That was my first one. And I was like, this is incredible. And it does really bother me sometimes, but in a way that I really like. Like, I think about it like, do you ever just like feel like your brain is on fire and you just need somebody to like peel your skin off? Like you just need
all of the time.
Something, like
almost daily.
Like I just need to feel something. And French Extremity always scratches that itch and then like keeps scratching it with like steel wool and just like I don't know what it is about it.
The scratching to me was worse than anything in this movie. I know we'll get to it, but the scratching got me worse than anything.
The Twin Peaks: The Return Sky Ferreira scene where she's scratching at her skin at the bar. It's just like, it's any type of skin lesions really freak me out.
Yeah. Well, and, I do have to be in the mood to watch French Extremity, like Rachel said. And I will say, I don't always enjoy watching it, like the experience of watching it. Like, some of them can be very hard, but I do always really love them, even if I don't like the movie, because I feel like they're saying something. And I've mentioned this before, but Sammy, because you mentioned revenge, I just started writing a series on French Extremity for Bloody Disgusting, and my first one was on Julie Ducournau, so I mentioned this one. I mentioned this one and the Triple Goddess because I think Raw and Titane and
your favorite
the Triple
stuff. Yeah,
exactly. Well, and my second piece was on Coralie Farget, and I wrote about Revenge in the Substance, so super fun. It will probably be out by the time this drops, so check that out. I just love them so much. And I think you're right. This new wave of French Extremity is like very female, a lot of female
and
directors.
I love that. It's just, there's just something about like when you're doing violence, not even against women, because there is violence against women in this film, don't get me wrong, but like her scenes that are really violent are just her too sometimes, it's the horror of the body. And I think women know the horror of the body in a way that that men just can't, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I guess that's why I think it feels more like delicate and graceful, despite being so
grotesque.
Yeah,
and gory. And I think, pregnancy horror is body horror, and I think the two go so well. And that's why we're talking about Titane today. I think I said Titane a minute ago. So you know what? Anything goes here.
It's interchangeable.
Here,
a lot of
different pronunciations of
the baby car movie.
Yeah, exactly. Yes, yeah. So yes, we are in the midst of pregnancy month, and this is a movie about pregnancy, but I think it's about a lot of things. So let's get right to it in our first category, her story.
I am so much happier now that I'm dead. Technically missing. Soon to be presumed dead. Gone. And my lazy, lying, cheating, oblivious husband will go to prison for my murder.
This is the section where we tell the story of the film. Spoilers abound, so listen at your own risk. We first meet Alexia just moments before a car wreck leaves her skull cracked. This results in a titanium plate in her head. I'm sorry, a titanium plate in her head.
Perfect.
And thank you. And a surprising affection for automobiles. As an adult, Alexia is a successful motor show dancer and probably a serial killer on the side. I say probably, I want to come back to that because I've got some thoughts. So after murdering a groupie who is trying to attack her, Alexia goes back into the auto show floor, now deserted, and has sex with one of the cars. Yes, it happens, and it's pretty cool.
Do you think it's
is
like
pretty cool.
Because she's in the back? Am I right? Doesn't it look like she's in the back?
I think she's in the the back seat. Yeah.
Okay, because
not the passenger seat.
Okay, so is it the stick shift?
Yeah, there's a reason. Yeah,
it's the drive.
Yeah.
That's like
definitely.
gear shift.
Yeah,
that's what I was like, what is she bopping on? Like, I was like, what's the phallic thing here? And I was like, it's got to be the stick shift. Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Okay,
really?
cool.
Jen is like,
I don't know why I'm scandalized by this. Of all the things Rachel and I have talked about today,
insert. I mean,
yeah, there's got to be something
she's
inserted.
All bruised, like her thighs are bruised and stuff.
Well, that would make sense.
Jizzed, and that's like the way it would, I think.
Yeah. Hey, and we're not going to kink shame. You do what you want to do.
What part of the car
also
do
not
you
a
think
mechanic,
is the dick,
guys.
everyone?
Yeah,
everyone at home, comment down
Let
below.
us know in the comments, what is the car dick?
So boy
What
cars
is the car
have
dick?
stick shifts and girl cars don't. Is that
okay.
Got it. Okay.
Cleared that up. Yes.
Yeah,
thank
for
you.
everybody wondering. Yeah.
It's like bicycles,
Yeah, the birds and the bees, you got the cars and the trucks.
So the next morning, Alexia wakes up with the cars and the truck. Sorry. Just took me a minute. The next morning, she wakes up with motor oil leaking out of her vagina and begins to suspect that she might be pregnant. When a painful attempt at self-abortion fails, Alexia goes on a date with her new girlfriend, Justine, a fellow dancer. Shout out to Garance Marier from Raw, because I love her.
I didn't know that.
While they're making out, Alexia suddenly murders Justine, then sets out to kill everyone else in the house. But one of Justine's roommates gets away. Alexia goes home and sets her house on fire with her parents locked inside, then hitchhikes out of town. In case you needed a visual of what a hitchhiker is.
Yeah, I had a quick thumb. Yeah, like where the hitchhiking goes.
Crazy. At a bus station, I think it might be a bus station, maybe train, something. At a station, she sees wanted posters with her face on them and realizes that she needs a plan. So she gives herself a good old-fashioned bathroom makeover, complete with shaved eyebrows, short hair, and a broken nose. I feel like it's been a while since we've talked about a gas station makeover or, a junkie bathroom makeover.
Yeah. Since Gone Girl.
Is that the last one?
Yeah.
Feel like it. Yeah. So Alexia also binds her breasts and growing belly and pretends to be Adrian, a boy who went missing 10 years ago. Adrian's father, Vincent, shows up at the police station and positively identifies Alexia as his son. We're going to talk about it. Vincent takes Adrian home. I'm trying to speak French, and that's why I can't.
Also, the character has two different names, okay?
That's true, yes.
Give us a break, guys.
When I was watching it in my head, I kept calling her Titane, so that's...
I did too.
I mean, I think that kind of works. Well, and what also is confusing too, and this was like a bitch when I wrote about it, is there are two characters named Adrian and Alexia in Raw also. So
she must like the name.
Repeats character names a lot. She also has characters named Mother in Alpha and Raw too. So it's a whole thing. So
building her own universe, multiverse.
She is her Ducournau connected universe, the JDCU. There we go.
Honestly, only Jen is the remaining person that's been on that episode, too. I've never seen it. So if we wanted to do a redux like the Losers Club does, we could,
Don't threaten me with a good time.
A doppelganger episode.
Sometimes the only way to get me to watch this shit is to give me homework,
I mean, yeah. And Raw is another one of those, which I fucking love it. It's my favorite of hers, but it's not just a good old throw it on, while you're eating charcuterie.
Yes.
Especially that one. So Vincent takes Adrian home to the fire station where he lives and trains a bunch of young recruits. One of them, Rayanne, is pretty sure this isn't actually Adrian, but Vincent won't hear anything about it. Despite several attempts to leave, Alexia and Vincent grow closer, but the pregnancy progresses. Alexia's breasts start leaking motor oil while their skin itches and tears over something titanium in her womb, and that song is in my head.
Oh, it was in my head the entire
time. Sorry,
since
sorry
yesterday.
If I
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. But it's also in my head in Megan's voice.
I was going to say the Megan version.
Yes. Oh my God, I totally forgot about that. I like that movie.
Well, I did too, and I want to talk about the second one too.
Yeah, I do too. Sorry.
No, you're fine. Okay, hold on. Let's see. Now I lost my place. So, okay, Aiden's mother, Vincent's estranged wife, visits and clearly sees that this is not her child, but she makes Alexia promise to take care of Vincent because he needs their relationship. Vincent eventually discovers that Alexia is a woman, but promises to keep her secret. When she goes into labor, he helps her give birth, but her skull splits open over the plate in the final push. As she dies, Vincent says goodbye, then cradles the baby to his chest. And at this point, I want to let everyone know I had a spinal fusion, so I have metal in my spine. So me and this baby have metal powers, and we are.
Are you the baby?
I am the baby.
You're the Titane baby.
Grew up.
I am Titane too.
She is
Titane.
Titane.
Titane part 2.
Part 2.
Okay, so Sammy, this was a first watch for you, right?
Yeah, it was. My story started last night. This was, in fact, a first watch for me. But as discussed, not my first rodeo in regard to the French extremity genre. So I was prepared for the overall tone going in. So it wasn't like a splash of cold water. Like I knew what I was in for when I pressed play, which was nice.
That's good.
I mean, it's a movie about getting pregnant via Cadillac, so it's easy to assume it's going to be a wee bit out there. I think just looking at the synopsis, you're in for a wild ride, if you will. But I'm sorry, I took a nap earlier, so I've got that like delirious afternoon nap feel. I was like, doing my makeup absolutely. She really is. She is, man. Put me in gear. But to let you know, Jen, because I know you've probably been a little anxious about this, I found this film to be visually beautiful, and even the gore was pretty and just like impressive. I really did like it a lot. And despite what we were here to do today, I do think the film stands on its own 2 feet, even if you don't crack the code of why things are presented the way that they are. Like I think it's fine to just take this at surface level, like woman who has baby that's a parked car, like that's okay too. You don't have to like look in between and be like, Google the ending and what does it mean. Like you can take this however you want, and I really like that. And I don't know if you guys are familiar with the director Jess Franco. Rachel. Okay, so there's the first scene of her on the car reminded me of The Night of Open Sex, which I only saw because our friend Will works in Chicago, had like a fest of all of his movies at Brain Dead Studios here in LA, and it's a porno basically. Like it's a film, but it's a porno, and it's like I think he's Spanish. I think. I could be wrong. Anyways.
No, right.
His wife, Lena Romay, is the like titular character in the film. And the first 20-25 minutes is just her masturbating on top of a car. And it's so like this that like, I can't fathom the director hasn't seen that movie. Like I feel like there's no way. It's so similar. The car looks similar, color, everything. They're both yellow.
That's interesting.
Yeah, it's I actually really enjoyed the film. It's erotica, I guess is what I would call it. It's from the 70s. It's really and like it was really his wife, and I don't know. I really enjoyed it, but I've never seen any of his other work, so I cannot be quoted on the rest of his content. But of course, before we move on, I want to give us a couple pieces of trivia I found interesting per se. Shelby, did you catch that? I threw that one in there for her. Sorry. It's a Love on the Spectrum reference, guys.
Okay.
One of our favorite guys. He's like, interesting, per se.
Shout out to Dylan. I know he's listening somewhere.
He lives here and he lives like close to me.
He does.
Okay?
He lives here.
And I love him. Please say
I
you
know.
do. Please say you do. He's so good. He's the best. Anyways, had to throw that in there for my Love on the Spectrum fans. Alexia's tattoo on her chest, which I did not know this, and I was just talking to Mike about it because he's a big fan of this author, and I have not read any of his books, so shame on me. The tattoo on her chest is a reference to the title of Charles Bukowski's most famous books of poetry, Love is a Dog from Hell. I thought her tattoo was really cool. I just really liked that.
I liked it too.
And I wanted to know what it meant. So if you're unfamiliar with the material, like I was, it is a classic poetry collection that was written in 1977. That Raleigh explores the complexities, heartbreaks, and endurance of love, capturing his signature gritty realism and vulnerability through poems about loneliness, filled relationships, and fleeting moments of joy. So, like, I can see how it pertains to this film. There's a lot of that going on here. I did not know. I'm not a car person. Sorry, guys. Even though Shelby, I know you are. You know cars pretty well. I will say. If I were to ever like break down on the side of the road, I probably would call you.
Okay.
And not just because you're close.
I have to.
Okay.
Yeah.
But I did not know this is a 1984 Cadillac Coupe de Ville. So if we didn't know what type of car this was, that is the type of car it is. What type of car is Christine?
A Plymouth Fury.
Plymouth Fury.
Okay.
That's the only kind of car I know.
She's a pretty gal. Okay, 1950. Yes. Okay, so they're a little different in age then. Man, okay.
But they're big and long.
I'm seeing them
and
as
that's what
people,
you want.
Okay? They are people.
It's big and long.
And then I did like this. This was just in the trivia, but it's not really like a fact. I mean, it's a factoid about serial killers, but a common trait among serial killers, as we know, is head trauma as a child. So it's like she had probably the most head trauma I could think of as a person could have. And then one last thing is that titanium is only found in nature as an oxide. That means bound with oxygen. And it is appropriate metaphor then that the heroine's struggles end in birth as the first breath of oxygen is taken by a part titanium baby. So I thought that was kind of cool too. Yeah.
Cool.
So, yeah, I liked it. I'm really excited
That's a
to
nerdy
talk about
fact.
it.
I like that.
Yes, I like a good
geology
periodic
and shit.
table factoid.
That's cool.
But probably not going to like put it on again anytime soon.
Yeah.
I watched it in the middle of the day because I was like, I just with subtitles at night, like I find myself drifting off sometimes. So it was middle of the day, and I was like, okay, now it's 2:00. What do I do next?
What do I do with my life?
It's heavy. So like it was, the rest of the day I was kind of like, all right, I'm gonna make my little nap corner and go over here for a little bit.
Yeah. Well, and Tammy, I will say I am familiar with that book that you mentioned, the Bukowski book, because my college drinking buddy, who will remain nameless, used to get really fucked up, and then he
Got
wanted
it.
me to read that book to him while he drew porn. So that's
Okay.
my
It
connection to those.
Doesn't sound
college
like the worst
time.
night of my life.
It
but,
wasn't.
like,
It wasn't bad. It was.
I
I mean, and it honestly, like, it never really did. Like, we didn't hook up or anything. It
but
just,
like grand
that was
scheme
what he
of
was into.
things, like I'd be like, I could have had
Yeah.
a worse night.
Is this the
than drying
pizza guy?
porn.
No, this is not the pizza guy.
Okay.
I
was
do
like, wait,
love
is
That was
the
Papa
same-
Jim.
There we go.
Love trips down Jen's
Same
memory
era,
lane.
though.
I know her lore is so vast.
Oh,
I
dude,
love
Drunk
it.
Jen has got stories.
I would love to see some original Jen pornographic drawing material. Like that would
He
be.
was a pretty good artist.
Oh, it
No, I
wasn't
will say
you drawing it.
It
I thought
wasn't me
oh.
drawing. It was him drawing, and he was not drawing me. I will say
Okay.
this was not a Titanic situation.
Okay.
But
Draw
he
me
just,
like when you're
I don't know.
French girls.
Yes, I mean, like a French
Titanic,
Mhm.
Titane.
Mhm.
It's all
Yeah.
whipping around.
It's good.
Yeah.
This goes all the way to
French
the top.
girls. Yeah.
Well, Shelby, what about you? Was this a first watch for you?
It was a half of a first watch because the first time I watched it, it's so funny you say that, Sammy, when you watch subtitled movies at night, you fall asleep because that's what happened the first time I saw this.
Yeah,
It was,
I go night night. It's too
Yeah.
much.
I watched it like when it first hit VOD. It came out on like Hulu or something
Yeah,
pretty, not
I remember that.
quickly, but like when it was in the US, it went to VOD pretty quickly. And I watched until like I thought in fact, watching it now, I was like, she stops being a serial killer after I was
It
like,
takes
I
a
thought this was
hard turn.
Yeah, it does.
all gonna
Yes.
be serial killer because I fell asleep around the time she was still serial killing, and so I was
Mhm.
like, oh, it's us and this. Is it a chopstick? What is that?
It's
like
a
a
titanium
hairpin.
hairpin. It's
Yeah,
it's made out of
like,
metal.
Her
Yeah.
and that
Hair
hairpin
stick.
against the world, and so I was like,
Yeah.
it was like watching it for the first time because that second act, I was like, oh,
Yeah.
we're going different places, okay?
Mhm.
Because I think that's what happens. Is I fell asleep. It's not something you, like we said, it's not something you just throw on. And so I kind of not wrote it off. I really enjoyed the first half, but I remember thinking, I get it. I get it.
Totally. I've done that
I was
before.
so wrong. I was so wrong.
Yeah.
So glad we got to I had a reason to revisit it because I just kind of also just a little bit forgot about it, and people
too.
bring it up all the time, and I'd be like, yeah, I get it, like thinking and then I didn't. So I'm so glad we got through the whole thing. I loved it. I really did.
Yay!
I really loved it. I mean, what more can you? She fucks a fire truck at one point too.
Mhm.
She's a bad
I mean,
bitch, man. And I love a messy bitch, as we know.
Yeah.
Right.
Like she reminded me a little of because I will hoot and holler about this book for the rest of my life, like the character from May of Fly.
Mm.
Yeah.
And even kind of like notes of Eileen too, kind of just like the weird gross girl. And I
Yeah.
love weird
Yes.
gross girl.
Let
She's
girls
my
be
favorite.
weird and gross.
We are weird and gross. I do weird and gross
Yes.
shit all the time.
Like I appreciated how much, and I'm sure we'll get into it, but how much the nudity was so non-sexual for such a
Yeah.
sexual movie.
Totally.
Like it felt like you could tell a woman made it. Like the close-up of her like underwear, like with the oil when we first see
Yeah.
it. Like it felt very weirdly familiar. Like it felt
Yeah.
like safe in a
grounded,
weird way.
kinda.
Well, we
But-
know exactly what that's like to, put our hand and go like, oh, I started my
Yeah,
period, like, or something. Like,
exactly.
it's
That's
a
what
very
it felt
relatable
like.
experience.
Yeah.
Exactly. And it's like the whole time I was thinking, I was like, I would describe this movie as bordering on pornographic, but that's like complimentary, like
Mhm.
not
Yeah.
in a bad way. Because it like every time she fucked a car, I was like, she's fucking that car.
And
Like,
it was
yeah,
kind of
I'm
hot.
watching her
like,
fuck a
I
car. Yeah,
was
exactly.
a little,
like in a good way.
Yeah,
It's taboo.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's
yes.
taboo.
exactly.
Like that opening, or not the opening, but when she's like writhing on the car, I was like, this is so. I mean, when
Get it.
she's licking what's her face's nipple, which the nipple scene was so hard for me to watch because it was just
Yeah.
like making me
Ow.
like literally I was clutching
No,
them
like
the whole
this,
time.
the whole time.
It was
Yeah.
so funny. I was just thinking for some reason when we were sitting waiting for Hokum to start, Sammy, I was like, man, I feel so jaded by like gore in movies these days. I don't know what gets me anymore. This movie showed me a
Nipple
couple
piercings.
things.
Yeah.
A couple things. The
Mhm.
nipple piercings. Like, so yeah, we'll get into it. But like, yeah, I was like, okay, I can still feel in a bad way. And like, because the nipples, oh my God. But yeah, I really enjoyed it. It was very surprising. Even rewatching that first half, I feel like I had not clearly I fell asleep, but so I had not paid enough attention to like how much this movie had to say from like the very beginning.
Yeah.
Like the
Yeah.
very beginning. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and I think I even on my second watch too, I got so much more out of it too, just because
Yeah.
I knew where it was going. Rachel, what about you? I think you'd seen this one before, right?
Yes, I think this is my third watch. And yeah, similar. The first time I saw it, it just kind of like washes over you and you're like, okay,
Yeah.
whoa.
Right.
Like, this is a lot. I'm going to need a second to catch up. And the subsequent watches, I love this movie so much. And I feel like it's a movie I see a lot of myself in. And I will definitely I'm excited to talk about that and unpack that with you guys a little bit, but some like very specific things and just things that it's like, I don't see this. And it's a fascinating movie because it is really ambiguous in a lot of ways, which I think intentionally leaves it open for interpretation of like how you see that and how you, I don't know, just like what that means to like how it hits you, what lens you kind of see it through. But it's also just gorgeous. And I love that Alexia is just a really unapologetic, just, bad. Like she's just killing people,
Psycho. Yeah.
It's like, and, but on top of everything else that we'll get into, just this idea that like, some people are just killers, we see that with male serial killers and things in movies all the time, but it's just so upfront with that. And she's so upfront and just her kind of, I don't know, just how she views the world and stuff and how she moves about the world. And I'm like, this is fascinating. And it never apologizes for it. Like she just, this character is just who she is. And, not that she doesn't grow in some ways then that we'll talk about, but it's just such I don't know. I just am obsessed with this movie. And yeah, that opening scene, it didn't take long. I'm going to be honest. Like that opening car sequence that just always, this is just ADHD brain. But do you guys know the boats? Those commercials? No? I'm like,
wait, what's boats?
What's boats?
Inflatable wacky tube man?
There was this,
Is there an
there was
inflatable
this
wacky
series
tube
of commercials. You can probably look them up on YouTube, but there was like this girl who like would sell boats and she would just go boats.
Oh my God.
But, anyways, that's a rabbit hole to go down sometime. But
it's from How I Met Your Mother.
Is that what it is? Okay.
Yeah. I see it.
But like if you look up those videos, they're just like really funny. But this idea of like girls at car shows, that's very, very much a thing and very much alive. And just everything about that opening sequence, I was like, and I'm in.
Yeah. I was thinking about you watching this. I was like, this feels like a Rachel movie. Also, I wonder if there are things that you're getting out of it that I don't because you know about cars.
Cannot wait. Listen,
I don't know shit about cars.
My dad is just a little nugget of Rachel
we've
lore.
got two car bitches on the pod now.
Little nugget of Rachel lore. Yeah, my a family story because my dad did all the car shows and has always had classic cars, and so there's like a photo of me as a newborn, like weeks old, literally like on the floor of his like 46 Chevy that he had at the time at a car show, and just like, okay, yeah. And so it's, there's that.
Next time you guys come for a con, Shelby and I have to take you to because I've never been. I know, Shelby, you have been.
I love it there. Yeah. I just took my dad there recently.
Automobile Museum. It's right next to the Academy Museum. So
Christina's
you can hit up
there.
Christina's there. And the La Brea tar pits are right there too. So it's like basically tourist
like in
central.
My Girl too.
Yes. And
the Academy Museum's right there. We could have museum day.
It would be really fun. So when you guys, because if we're coming for Midsummer, we should like maybe like have an extra day, especially because I know Mike wants you guys to see the house because who knows how much longer we'll be here. But yeah. So listeners, you just listened to us make a
listen to our last episode on Neighbors.
We made a plan. We're going to the automobile show to Broome. Yeah.
Meep, meep. Sweet.
I think you'd really like it, Rachel. It's cool.
I'm sure. Yeah. No, so this is very much, as we say, like we call some movies Jen bait. Like I feel like this is very much like Rachel bait in a lot of ways, in a lot of different ways, in ways I wasn't expecting, which is why I like rewatching it. And I would encourage everybody, if you've only seen it once, at least sometime watch it again. Because I definitely think it's like once it's kind of like, okay, let me, now that I know what to expect, let me investigate this a little bit more about how I feel about it.
Well, and what's interesting and part of what I love about this movie is that there isn't always overlap between Jim Bate and Rachel Bate. A lot of times those are different things.
Yeah, it's a Venn diagram.
It is, yeah, it's a Venn diagram. And lady killers are in the middle.
Mhm.
But I feel like this, because I would describe this as Jim Bate in a lot of ways too, in very different ways. And I think that's what's so cool about it is there are a lot of different ways to read this. And I've pulled a couple of different ways, including my own interpretation, which may be different from y'all's too. And I think I find that with a lot of French Extremity too. It's just they're really rich texts and there are a lot of different ways that you can see yourselves in them because, Sammy, as you often say, they're not trying to spoon feed us.
No.
You know, it's like this is, and I know Julie Ducournau specifically said she did not want there to be a reason for Alexia to be killing because men get to kill without reason. They just get to be bad. You know, they get to be like Patrick Bateman. And women don't get to do that in movies. So I really love that too. I will say I said this was my second time. Technically, it was my second and a half time watching this because the first 10 minutes of this movie are trying to kill me. I have talked about my scar phobia.
Yeah.
Like,
I know.
And then I also have a piercing phobia. I haven't changed my earrings in probably 6 years.
I stuck these in for the first time. Maybe a couple years. I had to pull. Sorry, Jen, but I did have to do that.
Push them through?
Yeah, sure did.
I mean, they look fantastic.
It doesn't hurt.
You know,
so, but it's always this one for whatever reason. This one's
just-
always cool, but I gotta fucking
see. And
shove
this is
that
the
in.
one for me. But anyway, I got the sleep earrings, and I will die with these earrings in. And I've even canceled
it's like
MRI.
both things, like pretty quick
Both
back
things.
to back. You're like,
Yeah.
all right.
See, this is new Gen lore to me. I didn't know about your
Dude.
scar thing, and this
Yeah.
is
It's
quite a scar.
It is very scar. So I watched this because I think I can't remember if I'd seen Raw or not, but everybody was talking about this, and I was like, I need to watch this. Got to that second nipple part, and I was like, nope, and I turned it off. And it wasn't until I started writing about Julie Ducournau that I was like, all right, I'm going to do it.
I gotta grin and bear it.
And what's funny is like if I had just kept going, there's really not that much more that bothered me.
That's
you know?
there really isn't.
It's just it was so like aggressively. Also, it was a couple of years ago when the phobias were like really felt very present, you know, because it was like
They
coming
do
out
it
of
twice.
the
a lot of
Her
work
hair
and
gets stuck in
therapy,
the nipple
too.
ring,
That's
and
true.
then she bites on the nipple ring. There's
And
two
that's-
like piercing
Yeah.
parts. So I
The
get
biting
it.
was
Yeah.
worse for me for whatever
My
reason.
fear is it's going to get ripped out. Like
Yeah.
things
what
aren't
I was
supposed to
thinking.
go
I
through
kept
our
waiting for that.
skin, y'all.
Yeah.
Well, I know. Then, like, in some boob jobs, they cut the nipple and then they put the silicone through there. I could never.
Yeah, they
Just
like
could
take it off
never.
and then
I mean,
put it back on. I know.
no shade to anyone. Y'all do
No,
what you want to
for
do. This
sure.
is just, and I think it's cool. I just cannot. It freaks me out too much.
No,
I
they
can't
always look
do it.
cool. They look
does,
so
yeah.
cool.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
I couldn't.
Yeah. But I'm glad I kept going because I love this movie. It's just, I don't know. It was not at all what I thought it was going to be in that second act. And I think I even got a lot more out of it this third time. But I will say I've watched this twice in the last month. And I might be good for a little bit.
Yeah.
Wow.
It's kind of a lot. So, you know. Okay, well, let's talk about some of those, I'm going to say gnarly details in our next section. Who is she?
I just wish we could all get along like we used to in middle school. I wish that I could bake a cake made out of rainbows and smiles and we'd all eat it, be happy.
She doesn't even go here.
Do you even go to this school?
Okay. So our lady killer is Alexia / Adrian, and she's played by Agatha Roussel. And part of me, I have gone back and forth on what pronouns to use here. I think, and I found this from trans writers too, because this is a trans allegory in a lot of ways. She is not identifying herself as a trans character. I think I'm going to say Alexia, maybe switch back and forth between Adrian, but I'm probably going to use she, her. If you are listening, if you have other thoughts, we would love to hear them. Because I also want to say we're 4 cis women too. So, you know, if there's something you want to add to this conversation, we would love to hear it. So Alexia / Adrian, love both of those names also. If I had another kid, I might name him
she
Adrian.
got lucky that the name of the missing boy was pretty similar to hers. So,
I know, yeah.
What are
If
the
she had an
odds?
A necklace,
Yeah.
she would be
She's
good
like,
to
I'm
go,
in.
you know?
I'm in.
Yeah.
Okay, our victims, man at the car show, Justine, Jerome, that hug, that was brutal.
Yeah.
So
Stool
sad.
guy, that fucking stool man.
Gnarly.
Woo. Dude,
I hope to
loved
never be
it.
referred to
I
as
loved
stool
that.
guy.
stool guy. I know, especially for that reason too. You know, oh, and stairs girl. I just liked stool guy and stairs girl. I think they
Yeah.
could,
Match made
you
in
know,
heaven.
in another lifetime, maybe
Yeah.
they could have had some fun house kids. You know,
Mhm.
her parents, and then I'm counting Alexia as a victim here
Yeah.
because she goes through some shit. And then our motive we shall discuss, and our weapon, a hair stick, a fire poker, a stool, and fire. And okay, so in our synopsis, I mentioned that she is possibly a serial killer. I
Mhm.
think we're meant to assume that she is the one that has been killing everybody, but
Ooh.
that's how I interpreted it.
I like
but we
that.
never confirmed that. But what I think is interesting is that we don't actually see her kill until she has been assaulted, too.
Yes.
Uh-huh.
So I think
Yes.
it's like we just kind of automatically lend her a little bit more sympathy than we might have if we had seen her kill somebody else before that. So that's the only reason I said possibly, you know. But also because Ducournau doesn't confirm it. So
But I
it's
also,
us.
the term serial killer, I think, is interesting because we see her being assaulted and then she's killed. Like, and also well, I don't know.
It's maybe
It's
a
like
spree killer. Like
Yeah.
it's like kind of because she does it to hide herself from all the kills we see are basically to hide herself from getting caught.
Yeah.
Or like
Because
he's
the
the
difference
assaulter.
is like the cool off period, and she doesn't cool off.
No,
I don't-
it's spree like for
I think
me.
she's still a serial killer,
Yeah,
but it's
yeah.
like in her mind, there's a reason for the kill,
Mhm.
not like I need to kill.
Yes,
but just
that's
like,
what I'm trying to
well,
say. Yes,
I need to get out of this
absolutely.
situation, and this is how I do it.
And man, cracked up when she was like, "How many of there are you in here?"
I
She's
know.
It
like,
was
I
so
know.
good.
fucking tired, man.
She's
It's
like,
so
I'm
funny.
so tired. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so my question here is why is Alexia attracted to cars and titanium? And I kind of wanted to, like I mentioned a trans allegory. I also mentioned that we are four cis women. So I pulled a couple of pieces about this, and I have a couple of quotes from Ducournau herself. She said, "This very attractive, very devouring relationship with the car makes her reclaim the narrative over the patriarchy and makes her own desire prevail over a symbol of masculinity." So I like that reading of like cars as a symbol of masculinity, which I think cars are classic symbols of masculinity. But she also says that Alexia, quote, has no attachment to any gender. So in Ducournau's mind, I think she is gender nonconforming, you know, and
Non-binary kind of. Is that
maybe
what we would-
non-binary,
okay.
yeah, or you know, just kind of maybe
Just
more
undefined.
fluid,
Yeah.
Yeah.
mhm. And maybe the way I couldn't find a direct quote from this, but the sense I got was almost that she kind of transcends gender here, that she's not
like that.
limited
I
by
would
that
agree with that.
dichotomy.
Yeah.
Yeah. I also found a couple of articles about trans readings on either side of these. One is called Cross-Dressing and Car Fetishes. Titane twists trans tropes into perverse, lifeless body horror by Jude Dry. And they write, Titane twists these milestones of transition, a beautiful and liberating experience for most trans people, making them painful and grotesque in service of its bent toward body horror. And then later, her gender play, this is Alexia, is a deception, a means to escape the cruelties of patriarchy, a deeply harmful and misguided criticism often leveled at trans men, both from outside and within the queer community. So I wanted to make sure there are a lot of different readings of this. Some people love it, some people hate it. It's kind of polarizing. I just wanted to make sure we're representing both sides of those. And then I also found How Titane Captures the Messy Brutality of Transition by Kaya Shunyata. In my own life, it's easy to find joy when my mother calls me her kid instead of her daughter, and when my childhood friends refer to me with the right pronouns. But these instances of joy are fleeting compared to the broad reality of existing as a trans person. Like Alexia, I'm in charge of how I present to the outside world, but I do not currently have a family doctor. So surgeries and hormones remain inaccessible for the time being. This isn't just the case for me, it's reality for many trans people. She goes on to write, they do. I saw myself in her in this instance, the look of pain, but also wonder in her eyes as she realizes what her body is capable of withstanding. I believe they're specifically writing about when she's binding.
Yeah.
And then
Looks so
they write,
painful.
for Alexia to reach the ultimate state of gender euphoria, even though the film never names it as such, she must destroy her body and completely make herself anew. Adrian is the vessel that she will inhabit, and the good son is the performance she must play in order to maintain that existence. And then they say, Alexia is a vessel Alexia as a vessel not to pander to cis audiences, but rather to let people like myself see a reflection of my gender experience on the big screen. I think that is the version I tend to more
Me too.
align
I
with.
mean, both are valid, obviously.
Yes,
and
absolutely.
like our experience, like we will never, I mean, we don't know what that experience is like. So our opinions are moot, I guess, essentially. But yes, I agree. I don't, I think transitioning, and just being a woman too is messy,
and it's painful sometimes.
It's painful,
too.
yes.
Yeah.
It's not an easy. I would love for it to be an easy process, but unfortunately, in the current world that we are in, it isn't anything but an easy process. So I don't see it, I guess for lack of a better word, offensive to portray it in that light, because it feels very real. It's from what I have seen, and from, obviously not my own personal experience, but from what I have seen in others, and just what I know about the experience based on other people's telling me about it, I guess.
Yeah. And all that to say, too, we would love to hear what you think about this.
Absolutely.
I know that this is polarizing,
Yeah.
and, we would like to open this conversation, too. And I would love to hear your opinions of, what I just read, and maybe if you have an alternative read of this, too.
Yeah.
Shelby, what do you think about this? Why do you think she's attracted to cars and titanium?
I think that, like, on a very surface level, if you're going to just watch the movie and like not look much deeper than it being a movie about a lady who fucks cars,
exactly.
she knocks her noodle pretty hard in the beginning there, which I love that. I loved the intro. It was so beautifully shot, like seeing just the blood on the glass, and I just thought that was so gorgeous. And I don't know, this could be me. I've been so excited to talk to you guys about this because I didn't know, I haven't read anything deeper about this movie at all. Like, I'm going into this like totally fresh face, like don't know anything deeper. I got a read of there was something strange going on between her and her father.
Yes,
like I
absolutely.
felt like
I did as well.
there was an attraction there, and I hate to use the word attraction because, but it almost felt in some instances it was her attracted to her father. And, when her mom asks him to examine her, she gives him this sort of look, and he looks uncomfortable. So, like, I couldn't really read the whole situation. Again, this is definitely a movie that you would need to watch several times. Like Rachel said, like the first time you watch it, I was just like, I'm absorbing so much that I haven't picked it apart enough. And I do want to watch this again. Like, I immediately was like, I would like to see this again. Again, maybe not next week, but
tomorrow,
like again. Yeah. But I read like that, plus her, like, there was something with her trying to get her father's attention desperately in the car, which, again, on an even more surface level, I was like, oh my fucking God, if you kick my chair. Like,
it gave Babadook
She's being
vibes for me.
obnoxious,
yes, Babadook vibes.
Yeah,
Yes.
I was like,
so that's just a me thing. I was like, you fucking little shit. Oh
Yeah,
my God,
I
I'm
felt
glad
that way
you
as
knocked your
well.
head.
Yeah.
Now you'll learn to never do that. No, I'm not a boomer. I'm sorry. I don't believe in punishing children with violence.
Hey, it's a natural consequence.
Yeah.
Look, it
Although
happened.
watch
The
the
universe
robot.
did it. He didn't like beat her with a belt. The universe was like, hey,
Friend.
knock it off. I'm
Right.
annoyed. But yeah, like there was like, she was clearly trying to get his attention. There's this weird vibe between them the whole time, even up to the point where she locks him in their room. And again, since this was our first watch, you will all probably know more about this than I do, but I feel like there is something between and I hate to say taboo because I feel like they were suggesting this was a very bad non-consensual situation.
Yeah.
So taboo probably isn't the right word, but between like relationship's not a great. I'm sorry, you guys. I'm trying to find words.
You got it.
No,
I
you're
know
good.
you do.
A relationship like that plus something like with a car. Like, these are all taboo relationships. I mean, there was a guy on My Strange Addiction who liked to fuck cars too. Do you guys remember that?
I
No.
specifically remember the pool floaty guy because that one really
I remember pool
stands
floaty
out.
guy, but there was also car guy. So
Yeah.
he liked to fuck his car.
Like through the muffler on the back.
He explained it. I don't know if he ever explained the details, but he definitely did
muffler?
do something.
Huh.
The muffler.
Is that a banana in your muffler? Or did your car just break
Or are
down?
you just fucking your car?
Or is this just Beverly Hills Cop?
You'd think between the seats would be more comfortable. I don't know. I'm not telling you how to fuck your cars, okay? You do you.
Listeners,
Don't
let
me
us
tell
know
you.
what is the best way to fuck
Let
a
me
car.
tell you how to do it. But yeah,
I'm
I feel
just
like
glad we've avoided going to the incest zone.
Well,
no.
Yes,
well, we really
maybe.
haven't. I
Yeah.
brought
We'll
us
save
there.
that.
Hello,
I
I'm
definitely
driving the
have some.
fuckable car, and
Yeah.
I've driven us to the incest zone. Hey everybody,
Touchdown. Incest zone.
yeah, we're
We have to have,
here.
oh yeah.
In video, we really should start doing some sort of neon sign about it.
Yeah.
That's what I told
Yeah.
Jenna
Like,
today. I was like, I need
yeah.
to make something she can drop
Yes.
in.
Like
Yes.
when Pee Wee's Playhouse, we hit the button.
Yeah. Is the guy who said the Royal
Oh.
Rumble, is he still alive? Can we have him do the voice?
Yeah,
Vince
there
He
you go.
might still be
McMahon.
alive. I think he's kind of bad though.
He is bad.
Oh.
But
Well,
hey,
I need to look into it.
we can find
Maybe
him someone
guys-
who impersonates him, maybe.
oh my God. Anyway, sorry to get us off on the incest zone tangent, but yeah, that something about something cars, something fucking your dad.
It's all
something,
weird.
something.
She likes to
I
do
will
weird
say
stuff.
though, from all of the beautifully written other things that Jen read for us, I did find a couple points very poignant, and that is the father finding Adrian in the closet wearing a dress.
Yeah.
And
Yes, me too.
also the mother being like, that is not my son, and deciding to not have anything to do with this child. I was like, it was those moments where I was like, oh, they're again, I went into this totally blind, did not know and I was like, oh, they're trying to say something else here.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
I think.
Yeah. And yeah, it took me that long. It took me a while. Okay.
No,
guys, I was
no, but that's
I
the
was
thing.
blinded
That's
by
what
all
I
the
mean. Is
flashiness
you
of
don't
the
have
car
to
fucking
No,
see
a
it that
thousand
way.
and the
percent.
stabbing
Yeah.
and all the other stuff, all the surface level stuff going on. But yeah, by the time I was like, oh, he just opened a literal closet and Adrian's standing there in a dress. Okay, I get it.
Yeah.
I get it. Everybody, I'm here. Okay, I yield the rest of my time. I've talked us into the incest.
It's also showcasing because what it is like for parents too,
Yeah.
going through
Yes.
that experience.
That
you
is
know?
the big connection.
the
that I got
accepting
watching
parent
it
who is like,
the
this
second
is
time.
my son,
and the one
then
that
the
can't
mother
accept
who
it,
is-
and both experiences are none of us are able to speak on that, like, because it's like you don't, I mean, I don't, I guess I should word that differently. I just mean that, like, that's an experience that is entirely up to the beholder,
Yeah.
like I can't understand, I'll never be able to understand what it is like to be a parent and then maybe have a child transition. I know that I would
Exactly.
accept them no matter what, but I know that there is also pain that comes with that, and that's also valid. You know what I mean?
I agree, and I feel like the mother reacting in the way of like, you need to keep doing this, and so to keep your father happy and to take care of him. Again, I don't know enough to even start to explain the read on that, but I did take notice of it in that way.
I did too.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think the read that I get from the original father, I will call him mean father because they just look like they hate each other.
Yeah.
Is I think, and the reason she's attracted to cars, I think to me it just feels on the surface like like goes with like. Like she has got this part of her body and that makes her. Yeah. But I was reading something else that I didn't quote here, but they mentioned that the car sounds that she's making at the beginning kind of show that maybe she is trans. Maybe there's something that he knows about this and it feels like a rejection of that. And then this titanium thing, if we're using the attraction to cars as a trans allegory, maybe it is that she has always been attracted to cars and this just made it feel more personal and more valid,
Yeah.
But I think, again, this is something like there is no right way to read this. And even Ducournau is not giving us an answer. Rachel, what do you think? Because I think you and I kind of talked about this off mic a little bit. You may have a completely different read of this.
I do.
Very exciting.
And again, I am speaking from my own perspective through my own very specific lens. So this is just my interpretation of kind of what this is, quote unquote, saying. And I guess my read on it is it's much broader than that. Like I do not see the attraction to cars or the titanium thing as having anything to do with transitioning. To me, I read the relationship to her father. Okay, let me back up just a little bit, because I feel like this movie is more just interrogating gender stereotypes, sexual stereotypes, sexuality, like on a much broader scale. Like, what do those things mean? What does this mean to her? What does it mean in this world? What is a person who does not fit into these stereotypes? Like the dad, I know we're going to talk about, same thing. I think it's kind of a very similar conversation happening with him that's happening with her. Is just they don't necessarily, or they're just having internal issues with their own gender identity, attraction, sexuality, all of that. And like for me, I feel like I relate to it personally. Like cars have always been something that's like very personal to me for some, totally harmless reasons. Like I grew up around them. My dad always had them. I would work on them with him a lot. He did so many competitions. He did stereo competitions. My first car was a 51 Chevy, and like I restored that with him and had that for years. And like I've always had a car. I've even like had conversations about my therapist, because when I do not have a car that I feel like is like an extension of myself, when I have a boring car, I do not feel like myself. Like I am literally
so
like
interesting.
Wow.
unhappy, depressed. Like I don't feel like the ultimate version of myself when I don't have a car that I can either work on or have fun on or personalize or like do something with. It's like, and it's, because sometimes you have to sell something, or, having a 51 Chevy is not always necessarily like reliable. So you have to have your daily driver or whatever. And so I think that it's also something that it's like with her, I think she's just not necessarily the kid her dad wanted her to be. Like I read it as more just like he doesn't understand her and is not trying to understand her. Like I think she probably does have some sort of fascination with cars prior to that, but he's just like, you're not the daughter I wanted or expected, therefore I'm not investing anything in this. And so, and then with the accident and everything, I just think maybe that manifests as like, that's her passion and that's something that she's connected to. And it's, I think it's a very far extension of that.
Yeah.
But I read that whole thing, even at the car show, as just like, you see like the way everybody's looking at her. It's a place where she's comfortable. It's like, this is something that's going to,
she's in her element.
I don't know, accept her. It doesn't, I mean, obviously a car's not going to like talk back,
True.
It's just somewhere where she feels comfortable. It's something that she's like connects with. Because clearly she doesn't necessarily connect with people. I think we can all agree, for whatever reason, Alexia is not necessarily a very like socially adept person. And I think a lot of times that's why she ends up killing them, because she's just like, okay, I just
I'm
don't,
confused. And
she just doesn't necessarily connect or value human life in that way. Like she has more of a connection with the car. And like, it's the same reason why I love Christine, for the exact, like that relationship. I just don't see that on screen very much outside of like Fast and Furious movies or something.
Yeah.
But it's like, you can have like such a deep connection to your car, and like, the way it feels, like, it's like, I think about how my Chevy feels, and I think I'm one of those people who just has like really strong like sense memories with the like how things feel. And I think there's something there. Like cars can be extremely sexy, but they are also very masculine. And I think for me, that's something I'm like, we all love horror stuff. And like, how many times have we been told like, you just don't fit into this space, or this isn't your thing, or like, that's weird. Or like, I had a boyfriend once, because I dressed up for Halloween like many various male characters, but had boyfriends be like, that's really weird. Like, why do you always dress up like guys? That's weird.
Yeah.
What? I've been
They're
trying to convince
weird.
Mike to do barf and from Spaceballs, because I want to be barf. I want to be barf so bad.
Aww.
But it's like those things. It's like those. I think we've all had those moments where it's like somebody's judging you because you don't fit in the box of what they think their girlfriend or their daughter or their wife or their partner should be.
For sure.
Yeah.
And it's like those moments where it's like you just kind of, it's not shame, but you're like, what's wrong with me? And I think Alexia is kind of like on the extreme end of that, where she just does not connect with humans and she does not fit in a box. So nobody knows what to do with her. And I think this movie is about her dealing with that in some unexpected ways and ultimately finding acceptance. And so that's my read on all of that.
Yeah.
And so I think I see the trans reading. I think it is very much there, and I respect and value anyone's opinion on that. But yeah, just from my perspective, I think it can be sort of broadened to just gender identity in general.
Sure.
Yeah.
I love that.
Well, and I think when you have a baby, when you have a newborn baby, they talk a lot about skin to skin contact. That's something men can do to bond with the babies too, because they haven't grown the baby inside their body. And so I wonder if she does not feel accepted and loved by her biological parents. This almost feels like skin to skin contact with the car as soon as she gets out. And she's like, hey, the second she can like move her head around, she's like pressing herself up against it. That's interesting.
Well, like she's got metal. This thing's metal. I'm sure you have an experience like that, and it's not a trauma bond. I don't know if that's the right word, so I apologize. But that idea that like she went through something really traumatic in this thing that she already had some sort of affection for, and this has just amplified it to the 10th degree.
I completely agree. It's so funny, Rachel, when you were talking about like having a car as an extension of yourself and like the trauma bond thing. Like I just got a new car and Sammy saw my old one. Like it was a beater, but also like
it was a girl car. It was a girl car. Yeah.
Well, it was just it was rusty.
She'd been putt-putting along for a couple years for sure.
She had, and but she also had like a lot of really like bad memory. Like bad's not
it's shedding a skin. It is.
And like I started like having dreams because I'm like the cheapest person alive, so it took me so long to just like bite the bullet and get a new car. But I would have like dreams about it, like the car that I had, like while I still had it, and just all the bad stuff. Like I had just really weird stuff happen, like with my ex and everything. And so finally one night I was like, it literally overnight, I was like, I'm going tomorrow to get a new car. And I went to like clean out my trunk. And I found like a bunch of his stuff that was like shoved in little places that I had never looked at because I just hadn't cleaned out the trunk, probably in the back of my mind knowing I would find stuff. So I just hadn't. And like I like cleansed this car knowing I was going to sell it. And literally the next day I got up, took a shower, got dressed and went and was like done. And even the people at the car lot, they were like, we can tell you've had this for a long time. Do you want to go say goodbye? And I was like, no, I'm done. It is out of my life now.
I've mourned it already.
And it was like weirdly, it was so emotional because it wasn't, because it was like, I need this gone and I have a bond with it in a bad way. Like it needs to be away from my life and I need to like not see it ever again. And it was just like the weirdest strange. I've never had that with a car before. So you saying that, Rachel, like, oh my God, I feel so seen and so recent. And like, it's just.
Like life's too short to drive a boring car. Like if I'm going to drive to work all the time, like I want to have fun with it. I want to go fast. I want it to be cool. Like I don't want to just, there's a lot, I'm sure you can read into this, but also like, I have that connection with my dad. Like that's how me and my dad connected and like that. So, and I'm very much a daddy's girl. So I'm sure that's part of it too, is just, I need something like that either to work on him with, or it's just a good reminder and reminds me of like who I am in some ways. And it's like, I mean, we've all had those moments where it's like for one reason or another, you just don't feel like yourself because either you had to dye your hair to get a job or whatever. You just had to dress a certain, you're like, this isn't who I am. And I want to be, so I'm sure it's the same kind of reasons, need for attention. I have a bunch of tattoos and stuff too. And so I just look at it as an extension of that as well. But yeah, I love this character just for that reason.
No, she's a really cool female character. I love her as well.
Well, and I think that's part of why I joke but I'm not really joking. I want to be able to have pyrokinesis, and just like telekinesis, because like, I think when you're a little girl in the world, you want to feel bigger and more powerful. And I think for me, it was like magical powers, but I could also see a car being that way, that like method of finding that, or at least some kind of identity there. I really like that. Sammy, what do you think about this?
I mean, I agree. I think I think because it's one of those movies where like what you take out of it is everything is okay. You know what I mean? And
it's like a Rorschach test.
well,
you
yeah,
know?
and it's like I have not seen I saw the TV Glow, but I know there are people who saw immediately the trans allegories and people who didn't because they weren't trans and took it an entirely different way. And both things are okay, you know? Because like, of course, the four of us don't have that experience. So if we don't know what the movie's trying to say or like hear it talked about and see all these think pieces, what have you, we're going to take our own experience and project it onto the film. So I don't think it's wrong that because we've not had that experience, we didn't all see that experience in this film, I guess is what I'm trying to say.
Absolutely.
But I do think that this all stems from the childhood crash. I think the plate serves as sort of a permanent reminder of an accident that nearly killed her, which in turn sort of like fostered this twisted, intimate relationship with automobiles. Like it's basically like having to carry around your trauma for the rest of your life on the side of your head. And I think she finds a sense of belonging with cars because they mirror the machine part of her own body. So she abandons, you know, human connections for the coldness of steel. I think the plate itself sort of represents, you know, all of the things that she hasn't experienced, like the connection that she's lacked with all of the other humans that she's met. And like, I know what that's like as a little girl. Like I had 3 invisible friends when I was little, okay? Mary, Jerry, and Jamal. And we hung out a lot. And so I can imagine what that is, you know, what that's like. It was hard for me. I just talked about in therapy how I was like, oh yeah, I don't sleep on nights that I had social interactions because all night I'm basically giving myself a judge panel of my interactions. So it's like, I give that one a 5, you know, that's like what's happening in my head every night. And then if the next day I have a social interaction, I'm thinking of what I'm going to do to fuck that up the next day. So it's really fun. I love it. We just upped my OCD meds again, in case you're all wondering, but yeah, I think her relationship with her father, you know, seems like a loveless one, like you said, and her mother seems kind of pretending to be all normal. Like we don't even see her face really in any of the scenes. And I think she herself is sort of treated as an object, which informs this attraction towards said objects. And I think her getting pregnant from the car sort of represents how far her detachment from human beings has progressed. Like she doesn't even need a man to reproduce because we see no man in this film who even regards her as a person until we meet Vincent. And in regard to that trans allegory, I will say, like I said, I do occasionally enjoy a movie for what, like taking it for what it is instead of looking for the metaphors, despite there being plenty of them in this movie. Like I really wanted to take this film at face value, like just women impregnated by a car, full stop.
Yeah.
But I'll be honest, I think it is near impossible to do that. Once you've gotten to the end and once you start peeling it back. But both ways, as I said, are totally cool. And so looking at it through that lens, I think that titanium is meant to represent a physical alteration that alienates her from her own human body, you know, and this prompts her to find family and identity in cold machines rather than human flesh. And maybe the reason she's so fixated, you know, with vehicles is because they can be heavily modified inside and out without ever having been questioned about what they are, you know? It also had me drawing comparisons to what being pregnant, you know, a historically cis female experience must feel like in regard to trans men. That was another thing that was kind of, you know, with the binding, and which is such a painful thing. Like I can barely wear a sports bra. So like the binding scenes were genuinely hard for me to watch because it's like I get panic attacks in tight bras. And so like to be wrapped up like that, like made me it hard for me to breathe while I was watching those scenes. And I often think that trans men aren't talked enough about in pop culture. I do think they tend to be kind of swept to the side. They never really seem to be able to get the spotlight. And I don't think that's fair. So that was kind of the one, once I saw what this movie was, you know, talked about in every article that I saw. And once I saw the outline, I was like, okay, how do I wrap my head around this experience that I have never had? And that's quite kind of where I landed. But I do think in the end, I think she's able to free herself from the need for traditional human-based gender roles and familial structures, and in turn gets to find a new chosen family through this altered state, which is a historically not just trans experience, but queer experience as a whole.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And I want to talk more about that specifically with pregnancy because I have so many thoughts about that. But before we do, let's get into what did we say the car was? Sorry, a Cadillac.
It is a 1984 Cadillac Coupe de Ville. Yeah.
Okay, well, we're getting in it, not to fuck it, but we are going to go for
Speak for yourself.
Yeah,
Jen.
don't threaten me with a good time.
We're going to go for a platonic.
She looked like she
ideal
had
of
a great time.
She really did.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
you know, yeah. It wasn't great the next day,
Yeah,
but she was having some fun. And we don't kink shame here, so you get yours, Alexia. But we are getting in that car and we are going killing.
This woman will soon cut, chop, break, and burn 5 men beyond recognition. And there isn't a jury in this country that will convict her.
Okay, so I want to talk about Alexia. Man, I remember how much my stomach itched when I was pregnant. Like
You
it just
weird, really?
is- yeah,
Yeah,
'cause it's
I've heard that a
stretching
lot
so
from
much.
pregnant
Mhm.
friends is the itching. Like the
Yeah,
itching.
I looked
and,
like I had like Wolverine had been scratching.
Have
me
you guys
because
heard
it
of
was
the girl
just-
with the list? Do you know who that
Yes.
is? Okay, Shelby.
Oh,
Okay.
yeah, I
We're
follow
chronically
that
online.
closely.
So the girl with the list
Yeah.
is this woman who's child free that basically has gone viral. She has millions of followers now.
Mhm.
And she keeps a list of all of the things they don't tell us about pregnancy that are
Ah.
horrific.
Oh,
So
and pregnant
um,
women will even tag her. Like
yeah,
they'll
and be like, add this to the list.
this one
Why
too.
did you-
Yeah.
There's
Like
one
your
girl,
teeth falling out.
her
and, like,
nose got
things-
huge after pregnancy.
Yeah.
Like I would say itchy belly, add it to the list.
But yeah, itchy belly, itchy boobs too, and also
Ooh,
painful
add it to the
boobs.
list.
Like
well,
they
that's
just,
the thing. The itchiness
Ugh.
is what freaks me out because it means her skin is stretching, and that
Yes.
like
My boobs hurt all of the time, so
Ugh.
like I couldn't and they're already like too big to handle
Yeah.
at this point. Like Jesus Christ, find a shirt that fits. You can't. It sucks.
Well, and I put like somebody gave me cocoa butter to put on it, and apparently I was allergic to it, so it made me break out in a rash too. So
Wonderful.
it was like I was like,
Oh, all right. So my stretch marks
Awesome.
are white on my
Mhm. Yeah.
on my derriere, and I call them lightning bolts because they look
mine
like
too.
Like,
I have them on
yeah.
my hips.
They're
yeah.
all white, so I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna make
I like
them
that.
pretty.
Like
yeah,
the
it's like a
speed-
storm.
speed
yeah.
marks.
yeah.
well, she's punching her stomach. The binding thing just looks so painful.
Yeah, it does.
And I think this is where I see a big trans reading for me. And partly because just the pain of pregnancy, like I've said, you can't drag a baby out of this body anymore. Like I am done. I love my kids. Glad I did it. No, I'm not doing that again because it hurts a lot. But if you're listening and you're pregnant, you're going to be absolutely fine. It does
Everything's
not
gonna be
still
great.
hurt. I just always want to say that because I don't want to freak anybody out. And I've said that I'm cis, and I am, but somebody very close to me is kind of in the process of transitioning, and I want to be respectful because it's not my story to share. But watching them go through this process has kind of taught me a lot about it. And one of the things that I've seen is that puberty can really skyrocket your dysphoria. Like
Yeah.
it's hard when your body is changing into the thing that you don't want it to become, you know? And so I see her, Alexia, as her boobs are getting bigger. And even when we watch her dance, like she doesn't have like a really busty
No,
shirt.
she's-
It's
yeah,
very
mhm,
like
yeah.
wrapped, you know, it's almost like it's, you know, she's trying to kind of go for a more androgynous look,
Yeah.
even with the way she styles herself. And so every time she wraps herself, I just see herself trying to distance from this female presenting body, you know, and pregnancy, like I think Sammy, you said, it's like it is presented as this female defining experience. And if she does not want to be a woman, then this is just confirming all of the worst things she can imagine about her body. And I imagine it's just making all of her dysphoria just explode because she could pretend to be anybody. And realistically, like a pregnant woman wouldn't be the worst thing to disguise yourself as, you know, even though her
yeah.
face, like she could just break her nose and dye her hair, you know, but she chooses to be a boy. She wants to be in a boy's body. And I think part of that, to me, it feels like she's trying to distance herself from this female experience of
Yeah.
being pregnant, you know? Rachel, what do you think about that? How does she feel about her pregnancy?
But yeah, I don't think she's super thrilled about this developing situation and a bit in denial. But I also, again, this is like something I can relate to. Like, I mean, it's not, I've never really had any like actual like deep issues with like how I identify, but I do think I generally would rather present a little bit more male kind of as terms like I'm not like super femme in the like, you know, just in the feminine sense is like how I like I'm not super girly, I guess, when I think of myself. In some ways for sure. Like and I can appreciate. But
You're not gonna bring housewives glam when we go to Midsummer Scream.
No.
A prairie dress, perhaps.
Yeah.
Matching prairie dresses.
Well, maybe if we all do it, that would be fun.
We should all wear those dresses from the
Everybody's
Secret
doing it.
Wives intro.
Oh my God.
The blue.
Oh my God, and hold
hands.
hands.
on horses. Can we get horses?
And then we can, like, one of us can touch the swing because we can't stand on it. Sorry, that was
yes. I
Sorry,
love
Rachel.
it. But I can relate to this idea of being viewed one way and you not connecting with that. Like I think, and I'm sure, I don't think this is a purely my experience, but when you're in high school and you are bustier or something, once you start getting male attention for your body, it's very strange and like not necessarily connecting to that and being like, you are just kind of interested in my boobs, in what I can do for you, that kind of thing. And not necessarily like connecting with that in a physical way. It's very strange to be looked at in that manner and just be objectified in that manner. And I think the objectification, like you already mentioned this, but like the car thing, the girl and the car thing, it's like they're all being looked at as objects. Like even all the other women washing the cars, it's like they're not being like judged like, oh, she looks like a really nice girl to have a conversation with.
I bet
like
she has
it's
great
clearly
hobbies.
She's a great personality.
Clearly a physical objectification, and she is also kind of that because that's a very feminine experience. Like, oh, you're telling me I'm an object, so I'm going to act like what you want. Like, okay, fine. And like, I know I personally went through a phase where like, okay, cool, I'm going to lean into this. And then clearly, like quickly realized like a lot of those guys were full of shit. I can't even tell you. And also I did grow up in a very Mormon space. I had a lot of Mormon guys go to my high school, be like, oh, you want to flirt with me? Cool. Let's hang out. Let's make out. And all of a sudden, not quite so interested because, oh, you're being a little bit too sexually aggressive. And they kind of pull back. Like they're freaked out about it. And it's like, what do you want from me? Like you literally wrote in my yearbook how you liked my rack, but now I'm like, you know, making out with you and all of a sudden you got to go home because you're like freaked out because you're having some sort of religious conflict. I'm not speaking about anything specific at all. But like but it's like you can't win either way. And I think, you know, I also, there's a lot of pressure put on men. I'm not saying that there's not, and I know we can talk about that
but
later.
I get
but
it. I've been in a situation like that.
Historically,
I was, like,
it's been worse for us in these situations.
And he was very Christian, but I sent him a picture of me in a bra. It wasn't even a nude. It was me in a bra. And it, all of a
see
sudden,
that at the mall at Victoria's
I don't want to
Secret.
talk anymore. Exactly.
I see girls in bras walking down the street.
Literally.
Yeah, but like I can't imagine being pregnant and like not wanting that pregnancy, and also just everything it does to your body. Like that freaks me the fuck out.
I'm already freaked out by my body. You know what I mean?
Seriously. Oh,
So,
and like
honestly.
this is kind of like the inverse of it. Like I've never wanted kids, and so like logically I didn't have an issue getting my hysterectomy for, number one, because I had to do it for health reasons. But it was so strange afterwards. It was like once that option was like literally not available to me, it's like, why am I feeling a little emotional about this? Even though I didn't want that in the first place. But it's kind of like this conflict of like, but now it's like the choice is taken away from me. And I kind of feel like Alexia is just sort of like in denial a little bit, and like just, you know, trying to have some control. We talked about this with like Rosemary's Baby too, just like with her cutting her hair. Like I need control over something that's happening here, because this is not, I have no control over this. And you can only deny it for
it's
so
like
long.
When I started my period at 8 years old, I did not know it was happening, so I just hid all my underwear because I was like, I don't know what's going on.
That's what I did when I first started my period.
Because I was 8. And I had boobs in kindergarten, you know? So it was like, I dressed like Adam fucking Sandler for the longest time because I didn't, I knew, I got catcalled more in my youth than I do as an adult woman, which is so very sad. But I had a very feminine body at a very young age, what's the word I'm looking for?
You just matured.
I matured faster than everybody
Yeah.
else, and I was so embarrassed about it. Like, I remember like getting unchanged with one of my friends and like having hair on my body in places, and she
Yes,
didn't. And
I
she
got
was like,
armpit hair before all my friends.
I would
and
hold
it
my
was-
hand like this
Yeah.
in class.
I remember asking my mom, was like,
legs.
"Can I please shave my armpits?" Like,
Because it's embarrassing.
Yes.
And I had a
Yeah.
girl like be like, "You look like my mom." And like when she saw me naked, and I was like, "I'm 10, like, please." Like, it was
Yeah.
I still think about that. You know what I mean? Like, it's still like,
Yeah.
because we're told that like our changing bodies are disgusting. So I can't imagine, like, I already know what I'm going through just as a woman in her 30s, kind of, going through bodily changes. I can't fathom going through the changes that I know come with. I couldn't do it. And I think I would be grossed out. Like, that's the thing, is like, I can't even touch my own belly button. Like, I can't. Do you know how hard it is to clean my belly button because I can't touch it? It's really hard. So like, I know that I would be I would be like her in this situation. I would be disgusted with my body. I would be freaked out. I know that I would get a schmishmortion at the schmishmortion clinic. So it's like, I see her try to give herself a schmishmortion, and I'm like,
Yeah, that's
I'm like,
Multi-tooled that thing is, right?
Oh,
it's
it's
just
metal.
like,
If
That
she's
scene was
disgusted
hardcore.
by it, like, I don't think she's disgusted by it. I think she's just like, it's just not.
no.
It's like something
not going
happening
on.
outside
Yeah.
yourself
Yeah.
that you just like can't connect with, and kind of just like, did you guys have you seen Now and Then?
One of my sister's favorite movies. Yes, I have.
Yeah.
I love that movie.
There's like a scene, and I haven't seen it in a long time, but I believe there's like a scene where Christina Ricci
Yeah.
Yes,
is like
yes, I
taping
have,
down
yeah.
her boobs too, like using duct tape
Mhm.
basically. And like, I think it's a very like, I feel like I connect with this on that level.
Yeah.
Where she's just like, I just want to be like friends with the boys.
Yeah.
Like, I
Mhm.
don't want these boobs because this turns me into something else.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Like this like puts me in
Yeah.
a different category that I don't want to be in, and I have no control over it. And I kind of like think about that in the same way about Alexia, where she's just like, I'm just going to bind this up because I'm not like, this is not how I see myself or how I
Yeah.
want to be viewed. This is just like, I'm not interested in what's happening.
It's like an unwanted metamorphosis. It's like if the
Yeah.
or like the caterpillar did not want to change into a butterfly.
Yeah.
But you can't stop it. And I remember, and this was with my wanted pregnancies, I got to around 7 months and I was like, it can't get any bigger. How the fuck is this coming out?
I've seen
you
some
know?
where they're so low that I'm like, how did the skin
Yeah.
stretch that
Bodies
far
are
without
crazy.
breaking?
They
They're
really are,
freaking-
yeah. And I have a friend who's pregnant with twins right now too, and it's pretty early days, but I was just like,
Remember the
will hold those
Octomom?
ba-
Yeah,
Remember
oh,
that?
oh,
Yeah.
just freaked me out as a kid. I
Woo.
remember seeing those, like, 'cause she was always in the National Enquirer. So like,
She was
say, like,
everywhere for a
I
while.
would like see them in the stands, and I'd be like, if that ever happens to me, like, I
Yeah.
didn't know that was
And
an
again,
option.
if you were pregnant with 8 babies right now, you're going to be fine.
Fine.
But
it's just very rare.
It just,
so.
yeah. And I think this movie really captures that kind of horror at what is happening to your body because you can't stop it.
Yes.
And it just keeps going and going and going. And you're like, what? Well, Shelby, what do you think about her pregnancy and why she chooses Adrian?
I think she chooses Adrian because, I mean, it's interesting because we see what we could gather are her other victims kind of like flash on the screen, like in
Yeah.
the beginning. This time it's like, we get the idea of like these younger victims who have been aged up. Like specifically, I remember the one, it's like aged up 25 years. And I feel like us seeing her as a child and then seeing those aged up versions of these missing children, I don't know. I feel like the director was trying to say something about this missing time as almost as if all
Yeah.
that other time didn't count.
Yeah.
I am now this age and I am now this person. And I don't know. This was, I will admit, again, upon my first watch, I didn't see much like I didn't see the deep feeling of why she chose Adrian other than I want to look as different as possible and I want to be as
Get out.
like unsuspecting as possible. Yeah, I want to be able to cut off my hair, break my nose, and go as a boy. And I felt like it was more of a I just want to blend in and look different way. And it was just it was more of a convenient like I don't look not like him aged up.
Yeah.
Like, I don't,
Yeah.
you know, I could pass as that. So, like you said, I didn't really get any of the allegories or anything until literally Alexia's standing in a closet in a dress. So at this
Yeah.
point in the movie, I was like, yeah, girl, that's a good idea. Like, go as a boy. Like, that's like the
Yes.
opposite of what you are. Like, let's do this. Yes.
Yeah.
Like, because I was, in these movies, you're weirdly rooting for someone to get away with all the murder because you're just you're
Because they're
following
your
them. So
protagonists. Yes,
I'm here with
exactly.
you. Yeah, let's
Yeah.
do it. So yeah, like hearing all of your like everything that you all said has been really fascinating. But I got to be honest, beyond that, I did not have anything other than that's probably what I would choose too.
Mhm.
Yeah, I look
Yeah.
like a boy when my hair is back.
And
Like
that's
I look
fair too.
you know?
That's
Yeah,
fair.
it is.
Like
I have
yeah.
said if the zombie apocalypse happens, I'm shaving my head and pretending to be a boy because I've
Literally,
seen 28
you
days
know,
later.
do you ever do like a low pony
I've
for
read The
something and you're
Stand.
like, I look like a boy fighting in the Revolutionary War? Like,
Oh yeah,
that's how I
or
feel.
like the Target camera, you know?
I used to
yeah,
do the George
like I should be
Washington
beating
in
the little
pool.
drum or
Yeah.
playing the
That.
fife, and here we go,
Yeah.
boys, against
Dun,
the
dun,
Brits.
dun,
Yeah,
dun,
that's
dun,
how I
dun,
feel when I
dun.
have a low pony.
British are coming. The British are coming.
Yeah, like
Mm.
I think I would
Yeah.
look like a boy with my head shaved or something, but I've always thought that about myself. I had a lot of time when I was a kid too where I really wanted to be a boy because I went through this like crazy Indiana Jones phase. Like I still love
I don't know what
Indiana
that's
Jones.
like at all.
I know you have no idea. Yeah,
As we look
right?
over
I know
here,
literally.
That's the wall. That's the Indiana
Yeah.
Jones wall
Indiana
over
Jones
there.
shrine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Indy. But like I was so into like stuff like that, like action movies and like Harrison Ford and his various
Star
roles.
Wars,
And I was
yeah.
like, I remember just feeling like it's not like I'll never be able to do that. Like, cause I wanted to be an actor when I grew up. And I was like, I'll never be able to do that because girls don't get to do that. And like, yeah,
Yeah.
we had like Xena and like we had like different like action
Buffy.
theme, but I didn't want to be them. I didn't want to
Yeah.
be Buffy. I wanted to be Indiana Jones. Like
Mhm.
I wanted to be him. And I was like, I remember just feeling like I think I even asked my parents at one point, like, why can't I just like be that?
So when do I
though?
become a boy? Like,
Yeah. Like, do you get to choose?
Mhm.
And so, like, I would never compare my experiences with someone who, has transitioned. But I have felt that gender dysphoria before of like, I don't want to be this though.
Or it's
And,
like,
like-
projected gender dysphoria,
Yeah,
I think. It's
exactly,
like
that's
how
what it
I've
is.
experienced. It's like, oh, you're a girl, you shouldn't like that. So it makes
You
you wonder,
shouldn't like
like,
this
well, is
stuff.
it is
Yeah.
something
Am I wrong?
it's like, okay, am I not feminine? And it's like it's taken me a long time to get comfortable with the idea that like, no, that doesn't mean you're not, feminine.
Yeah. And like,
just means you
I had
happen to be
boyfriends
attracted
growing
to these
up, like,
things.
who would like tell me like something wasn't girly enough,
Yes.
And
It's
so, like,
strange.
Yes. So I've definitely
But then
like
they don't want us
experienced
to be
that.
girly either.
They don't.
Like-
Yeah, exactly. Not too girly. Send
It's because they
them
don't
a picture of
actually
you in your
love
bra. They're all bent out of shape about it.
Yeah.
It was a
Fucking
frilly
losers.
bra too. It was cute. Anyway,
Not worth it for him. Wasted on him.
wasted.
Didn't know what to do with it.
I
Didn't know what
wasted
he
a
had.
lot of those types of pictures in my youth.
So have
Anyway,
I.
Yeah.
I'm just glad I didn't have a camera on my phone during my drinking days.
You
'cause
God.
Lord knows what I would have been sending. people.
Unfortunately, some pretty grotesque people have seen my goods. So
me too. Same girl, same.
Never
see,
get it back.
Oh, sorry.
Oh
Sorry.
no, it was just to say because I didn't say I didn't talk about the pregnancy part, but like ditto to everything everyone said, basically, and like yeah, I just think she was horrified by it. I think for several reasons. For one, it was like, oh no, how am I gonna serial kill like this? And like
Mhm.
I don't want to be a mother. Like it's like but also. This is a car. I haven't like had sex with a dude. We never see
Yeah.
her have sex with a dude.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so it's like I don't want to assume anything about Alexia's sex life, but like I think we can gather from what we're shown in the movie, like she hasn't. She seems like she's mostly around the men she's mostly around from what we
Yeah.
see are the men who visit the car shows and her father. And
Mhm.
she doesn't want either of them. Or like the dad thing again, like the way she looks at him in that one scene, I don't know. But I don't think she's had sex with a dude in a while. So it's like I think she even knew. I mean, the motor oil was a good suggestion
so.
to her. But
Usually,
also
if you
it's
are like excreting black, or
yeah, it's
oil,
like oh no,
you go
this
to the
is
doctor.
like what I would be very unsettled if I was like I'm not only pregnant, which I don't want to be, but also it's a car. Like what is
Mhm.
this gonna be? Like is
Yeah.
like what is gonna happen here? So
Well,
I don't know.
and
Again, surface level
kills
read
her.
from a from a first time watcher. It was like what what now? Like, what? I
Yeah.
can't let a car grow inside me, you know? So there you go.
Yeah. Okay, well, let's talk about Adrian. But before we do that, let's pay some bills. Okay, so Vincent says, if anyone tries to hurt you, I'll kill them, even if it's me. That's a paraphrase. I didn't get the exact quote because it went by me too fast, and then
I think
it
that's what he
wasn't
said,
on
though. Yeah.
IMDb. But I want to ask, and I want to be very careful about how I ask this, because I am not implying that Alexia's identity or her queerness in any way makes her a killer. But
No.
but we do see a pretty hard turn. When she goes to live with Vincent, she stops killing. And most of what we see her do in the first half of the movie is killing. And so I just want to make very clear, I'm talking about Alexia and Adrian only, not a broad swath of people. But I wanted to ask about this. Why do we think she stops killing? And why does she stay with Vincent? Because we see her try to leave several times. Sammy, what do you think about that?
I think that this evolution from the serial killer persona to the Adrian disguise allows her to experience unconditional love for the first time and sort of replaces her compulsion to destroy with a desperate need for connection and self-preservation. And I think she's used to people either ignoring her or objectifying her, and like this destructive behavior that is like comes from that. And I think that Vincent offers her sort of this unwavering protection, and I think that acceptance breaks through her cold exterior and makes violence a little unnecessary. She's also in hiding, like the whole, again, if we're looking at this at face value, her reason for doing this is to hide from the police and not get caught. So, typically, it's probably smart to not continue killing when you're in that situation. But I do think by fully immersing herself into this new persona, she finds a new and stable and protective environment. And this monstrosity of her true self is finally accepted and sort of removes the need to act out her rage on the world or on various people. And I think because both characters are broken, they find comfort in each other's trauma. And even when he, learns the truth about her, he chooses to love her anyways and, accepts her unborn child. And her parents never did anything close to that from what we've seen. And I really do feel like it's a story of how a monstrous and, quote, monstrous and traumatized individual can find redemption and human connection through a family that accepts them, despite the intense pain and strange nature of this circumstance. I do think it is a found family narrative that I was not expecting from it. So I think that says a lot about the story here and that pivot that we've all been talking about. Like it goes from like a kind of maniac type of movie to a like really soft and sweet thing at the end, which I was not expecting at all.
Well, and he's a firefighter and an EMT too. So it's
Yeah.
like she goes from killing to learning how to save people too.
Yes.
It's just such a and I think I agree. That's the reading that I get, is that she finds peace. And maybe as a man, or maybe just as in a family that actually accepts her,
It doesn't matter her gender.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah. Rachel, what do you think?
Yeah, I think the reason why she stops killing initially is just self-preservation.
Yeah.
Like she's like, okay, I gotta like chill out and lay low for a bit. Because we
Yeah.
even do see her like question killing Vincent, right? A few times. Like she's pulling it out. So I don't think it's like it's yeah, she's ready. But at the same time, I think she's realizing like, okay, is this an instance where I really need to do this? I also think presenting as Adrian is giving her a bit of cover. She's not getting the same male attention or female attention even. Like she's not getting the same sexual attention, I guess. Like it's giving her some distance to be a little bit more of an observer. Like people aren't approaching her in the same way. And then I think she does kind of start to learn a bit more about Vincent, which is ultimately why she ends up staying, I think, is that she realizes that like, oh, this guy's just as fucked up as I am.
Yeah.
Like maybe there's something here. I think she really starts to see like it's not going to be any safer for me out there.
Yeah.
And this guy is also clearly going through something. So like maybe this is actually the best bet for me at this moment.
Yeah, if anybody's going to understand performing gender norms too, it's this
It's a
guy who keeps
firefighter.
ingesting himself or injecting himself with hormones too, you know?
Yeah, or I don't know if it's supposed to be like hormones or
I thought it was
steroids,
It's
but
steroids.
either
Yeah,
way,
it's
Steroids.
Yeah.
Was
I
it?
don't-
Okay.
yeah.
Either way, I
Maybe
think it is meant
Maybe
to
it's
be
hormones. Or
sounds
like
steroids.
testosterone.
Yeah.
Maybe I'm just
yeah.
thinking of the trans reading allegory that I
think
read.
it could
It was
be,
like
yeah.
a parallel to it. You're probably right. It probably
if
is
he's
steroids.
taking
but-
anything, I would imagine it's tea. Like I didn't see
Yeah.
him as trying to take estrogen. That's
No,
not.
no,
yeah,
no,
yeah.
no,
So I think
no.
I can see
Yeah.
him taking testosterone.
It probably
though.
is
Yeah.
steroids. But I think it's also, to perform this masculinity. Like he's the alpha and,
And he's
getting
getting older.
Yeah,
Yep.
exactly. Yeah.
Well, and like we see her get on the bus, right? Like when she does attempt to
Yes.
leave. And then all those guys are there and she's like looking at that other girl who they are just saying disgusting things to. And I think that's when she realizes like, fuck this. Like I don't really want to go back to this world.
Yes. To this
Like
place
and,
where I'm
now,
on
and
my
knows
own,
probably like
too.
if I do this, I'm gonna kill somebody else.
Mhm.
So
Yeah.
Yeah, I was waiting for her to kill all of them, and then
I
she gets off
wanted
the
it.
bus, and I was like,
And
that was so surprising.
We don't know
to
if
me.
she does. She may kill everybody on that bus. We don't see.
well, it drives away unless it goes.
Well, that's true.
Drive
She
away.
doesn't kill the bus driver. So I'm just going to pretend that she kills all
Yeah.
those boys because they suck. Shelby, what do you think about this? Why does she stay?
Yeah, I think I'm in agreement. Self-preservation at first, and then she watches second dad Vincent OD on the steroids at one point, or it's not really ODing. I think like I read there was like you get a heart arrhythmia or something like that.
Well, yeah, I have read that he injected air accidentally or something.
It is. That's
Oh.
what it is. Yes.
Okay.
Oh.
It's air. So when you are injecting this, that's the most common reason why people, because they're not doctors, and if you take that and you let any air get in and you put it into your vein, it will kill you.
Did he do that intentionally?
No, it's an accident. Or I mean, most times when there is air in that it's an accident, unless you
Okay.
really do want to die. But I don't think he
Well,
wanted
because he like
to
pulled
die.
it out of the trash, and I can't remember if it showed
It's a
him
dirty
like putting.
needle too.
Mhm.
Like
I
it's
see.
it's an all around unhygienic situation.
Gross
Yeah.
situation.
And I think
Yeah.
after that, he starts asking Alexia to help him too.
Yeah.
So I wonder
Yeah,
if
and
he
she does.
realizes
Yeah.
that. Yeah.
Yes. So,
Yeah.
I mean, I feel like in that moment, though, I feel like maybe it was, we see her as being a little bit, psychopathic, sociopathic, however you would say it, just very cold towards the human race in general.
Mhm.
And then we see her find, like, it's like she's surprised herself with her empathy. She's holding him. She has her hairpin. And instead, she's like, this is the first time she calls him dad. And I know
Yeah.
she's still in character, but I feel like it was genuine. Like,
Mm-hmm.
oh, wait, I really want you to wake up. Oh my God, I'm actually worried. And she seemed surprised by her own concern. And so I think it was like, well, I gotta, at least from a sociological experiment, like, I gotta stick this out. I gotta see what's going on here. Like, it's like, I think she was like shocked by her own feelings.
Yeah.
And she almost seemed shocked sometimes by staying, by her own like not ability to stay, but like she gets away, she comes back. She, she's dealing with these other firefighters who, oh my God, if you're going to kill anybody, you're going to kill the guy who's like, I know you're not you,
Yeah.
So like I don't know. I just feel like that in those moments, she was almost shocked by her own reaction to things, which was interesting because it's like seeing someone find a new life, like begin anew,
Yeah.
like a toddler discovering things, not saying she was toddler like, but she does go from not speaking to the ability to speak. She goes from, learning empathy. She learns how to bring life in various ways. And I think that she was almost fascinated by these good feelings that she had never felt before, even
Yeah.
if she was kind of freaked out by them.
Yeah. Well, and he keeps passing her tests, and that they're not intentional tests, but like every time something happens where he has the ability, or it feels like he's poised, because the next thing I want to do is talk about Vincent, specifically this moment where he opens the closet, Shelby, you mentioned, and sees Alexia wearing this dress that we know the real Adrian wore when he was a child. And it's like, those are the moments where if he was going to reject her, he would. And he keeps not doing that. And it's like every time he does that, he just proves that he's a safe place for her, And I think part of the reading that I have, and this could be because of my own stuff and my own reading of this movie, but I wonder if Vincent part of the reason that Adrian either disappeared, maybe ran away, maybe Vincent was not as careful a parent, is because he was kind of like Alexia's father at the beginning. Maybe he felt uncomfortable with his son showing some kind of gender nonconformity.
Yes.
And that's part of the reason he is so desperate to redo it. It almost feels like this is an opportunity for
he
him
does seem to
get
feel
it
some
right.
guilt around the situation.
That's like a major theory I saw.
I was gonna say, I
too.
think he killed
Yeah,
Adrian.
that's the theory. I
What?
Yeah. Yeah.
That's my
like,
I think
do
he
you
killed
want me to read
Adrian.
it?
Well, this
Tell
is just
me
I don't know.
everything.
My personal opinion, I haven't read any of the Reddit theories, but I think he killed Adrian, covered it up, had never told the mom, and has just carried this guilt forever. I think he knows from second
Day
when
one.
she shows up as Adrian, then that's why he's like, I don't need a DNA test, because he doesn't want a DNA test, because he knows.
Because he knows,
Yeah, and just is like, I'll recognize my son. He's always known.
Yeah.
But if somebody shows up saying that you're my dead child, like, I have to go. And that's why his ex-wife is like, immediately like, I know, I don't think she knows, but I think she immediately knows it's not Adrian either.
Everybody knows that it's not Adrian.
Yeah, but
It's like
he's
they're all
going
like,
along with it because part of him does want to believe it and be like, okay, this is like a
is my
weird,
second
unexpected
chance.
turn.
Yeah.
And I'm going to let this play out and investigate this because he does, same reason, he does want to make, I think he does want to make up and does want to do over, but I think it's because in the fire he sees that vision.
Yeah, that's
He
of a
does see
kid.
the kid
boy.
in the
Yeah, and I don't know if the kid burned. I don't know if that's how he killed Adrian, but I think one way or another he had a hand in Adrian's stuff. Is my theory.
I was going to say, I wonder if Alexia killed him, but I guess that does make sense.
That, I mean, he's been aged up. So what did she start killing when she was like 10?
Well,
it was like 10 years ago. I think
it's
the kid
more
disappeared.
like the thing, Shelby, you were mentioning, like the parallel between these major life events happening as their children and then these major life events happening, like with the case being closed right when she has her victim escape. So I think that was part of what I was kind of thinking, but I think that makes more sense, although it makes me really sad because I'm telling you, like, I cried the first time I heard him say, I don't care who you are, you're my son, you'll always be my son, whoever you are. Is that clear? It just like, it'll make me cry right now. It's just so,
and
what
I'd
you
actually
want,
not forgotten, but I hadn't considered that quick scene of him seeing the child in the thing. Sammy, what did the Reddit say? Tell me. Oh my God.
No, that's essentially the gist of it. Like that there's, an indication he killed Adrian for being queer, or trans. We see a picture of Adrian in a dress too on his,
or just not conforming.
stand.
That's the thing.
Exactly.
It's like little boys dress up as like, it's just okay. Put on a dress. It doesn't, doesn't make you anything other. Maybe you just like, oh, I'm having
but
fun
I
in a
don't
dress.
think he knew how to handle that. And like he didn't, like Rich said, he didn't want them to open the case back up. The hallucination of the hidden child burning to death, and that's like the thing is that he killed him. That was the major theory I saw. And then the other one is that something happened with the father. The one that I saw pretty like a bunch of times while I was going through my research is like, it's made clear that Alexia has some issue with her father. Some said perhaps it was an incestuous relationship. There's also a theory regarding the man she first kills. And after reading some comments, I think that he actually did rape her because the white stuff coming from his ear instead of blood looks like cum. So it's like, why would that, why? Why would he be excreting that? And, the trauma of the rape made her have sex with the catalog because it helps her deal with this act and the horrificness of it. There's also a theory that she's pregnant with her father's baby. That was also being tossed around. But like I said, I think this movie is kind of a choose your own adventure. You can either suspend your disbelief and think she literally got pregnant from a car and had a metal hybrid baby, or you can choose to see the symbolism. But either way, to answer this question, I think they're just both really traumatized characters who have done bad things, but really, still like want some semblance of a human connection in the end.
Yeah. Yeah, that's what I see, and I do think it's an interesting parallel, but to see her kill her father and to think
Yeah.
maybe he killed his son. So it's like there's this movie called Eat Me, and I've talked about it on Certified Forgotten podcast a couple of years ago. It is a very, very hard watch. But surprisingly, it's not about cannibalism.
Never heard of
Even
it.
though it's called Eat Me. It's a super low budget movie, but it is about like the worst taboos you can think of. Like
Yeah.
it's really, really hard watch to the point where most people I know want to turn it off. And I'm like, no, just keep going. You just got to push through the first 45 minutes. But I think the point of it is there's nothing I can do that is so bad that I'm irredeemable. That's what I get out of
Yeah.
that. And I think that's what I get from Alexia and Vincent is there's nothing I can do that is so bad that I can't come back from it if I can just find someone who will love me and accept me.
Yeah.
Yeah, even if they don't have to know what I did. Like I just love that he's like, I don't care who you are, I love you. That's
Yeah.
that's what you want from a parent. And I think she's a serial killer, so society might have a different responsibility than her parents. Like we
Yeah.
don't want killers running around. But I think I view my job as a parent as to love my kids no matter who they are, no matter who they choose to be, no matter how they identify, no matter what they do. And it kind of scares me sometimes to think about, especially when I watched that first season of Monster, the Jeffrey Dahmer story. I was like, well, what if my kids are killers? But, you know, I'd gotta love them anyways.
You roll the dice when you have a kid.
Exactly.
It's like
That's the thing.
we should the Kevin
We need to talk about Alexia.
We need to talk about Kevin. Oh yeah, we can talk about.
I put
Kevin.
that on
we
my
need to talk about that movie. Oh, it's
Sammy.
it's good.
Yeah, like I put that on
hard
my
watch.
screen box list when Xena and I got to do it, and I told everybody I was like, I'm so sorry, it's so bleak, but like, there's something
I
so
love that.
beautiful to me about, and it was so controversial about her. Sorry, spoilers, but like her visiting him and like in prison. And
I just read a book like that. It was like about I think I talked to Jen about it. I might have talked about it on one of the episodes, but it was basically saving Noah, and it's basically about a woman who finds out that her son is a pedophile, and he like wants to kill himself because he's like, I know I can't get rid of this, and he's like, I know I'm a monster, like I don't want to live anymore, and she loves him so desperately and tries to like rectify this. It's a really interesting and nuanced read, and I highly suggest it to anyone that is ever been interested in that subject. I know it's very bleak, but it's just something I've always been interested in reading and how you deal with that. But I think I had to come to terms with the idea that like I knew I could not love a child no matter what. And I'm not talking about in a gay sense or but like I don't have it in me to do this. So I chose not to have kids because you cannot have kids if you cannot accept them for whatever they are. And I'm not saying like if you find out they're a serial killer, you should keep letting them be a serial killer. That's not at all
right. That's
saying.
different. Yeah,
What I'm
you can still
saying
love
is,
them when they're in
yes,
jail for
yes,
killing,
but not when they're
can't.
kicking your chair in the car. I'm
Yeah,
sorry.
well, I just, like,
Draw the line.
It was. I watched A Dangerous Son, that documentary, and I was like,
Well, yeah, I recommend
know
that to so many people. Which
and
I
think
did.
you
I
should watch
recommended
it
that
before you have kids. Like,
yeah,
it's an
when I was
important
talking
watch.
about we should talk about Kevin, like we need to talk about Kevin. I was like, oh, and if you want more, like watch this documentary.
It's an
really
incredible
fascinating.
doc, but it is
it's-
like I don't know how those mothers can still love their kids, and that like that, and that's a hard thing to say. That's an awful thing to say. Okay,
I
they
think
are
that-
horrible
that-
kids.
Doc like showed it to me too that I was like, oh, I don't
have it in
think I
me.
have unconditional love
Nope,
in me.
I don't.
Like,
and
I just know
do
that
for
about myself. Yeah.
people. Like I love, but like there are certain things that these people that someone can do that will take away that unconditional love. And with a child, you don't have that luxury, So yeah, I think Jen, that just shows that maybe you are the sweetest and nicest of us all, because I really don't think I'm speaking for myself, is that like I just know I don't have that love inside of me. And
I would leave them at the fire station.
For a long time, I was really scared of that. Like I
Yeah.
thought there was something wrong with me, and maybe I was, evil. And I've just learned that I think it's actually really not evil to not have a kid, because I think I'm taking the road that is hard for people to admit, because I think there are a lot of people out there who cannot love their kids unconditionally and keep popping kids out, and that to me is evil. Not
Yeah.
That's why I have a dog.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well,
why
I mean, it's not.
That's why I've got this plush Mabel right here. Yeah.
Mabel.
So she made it. She has the paw of the king on her. Yeah.
But I mean, it's hard. Like, it's not easy to love them especially when they're so little. And I had to talk about this in therapy for a long time because my first childbirth was extremely traumatic. We had an abruption. I talked about it in our episode on Inside. So that tells you what it was like a little bit.
Yeah.
But I remember seeing my child for the first time and not feeling anything and feeling that like there was something wrong with me. And it took a couple of hours for me to like find love. And I think now I realize like I was just in shock. Like I was on a lot of drugs. It was fine. But I mean, we are trained to feel bad about ourselves if we can't
We see it
find
in the
that.
movie.
You don't have that moment.
Immediately, they're holding the
Exactly.
very clean baby.
And
that
once
is,
you've seen that baby,
and
it's all
everything
for
changes.
that. Yeah.
Oh
And
my
no,
God,
it is
yeah.
like you have to, like, it's not always easy to find that unconditional love, especially when they can't give it back to you or if they are challenging. And I mean, I've got a teenager in my house right now, and it is not the same as when they were little and they just wanted me to hold them all the time, But you're exactly right, Sammy. If you can't do that, because you don't get to choose who your kids are.
No.
And you don't get to shape them and trying to, like, you can coach them and you can teach them and you can guide them, but you can't turn them into who you want them to be because they're their own people. And like, nobody wants somebody to turn you into somebody else.
Yeah.
So you can't do that to your kids. And if you cannot accept who your kid is going to be, you shouldn't have kids because it's not fair to that kid. So,
Absolutely.
yeah. But I will say, it is good to have, like, I don't want to come across as like it's hard to be a mom because it is very hard, but it's also very rewarding. It's very good. And our next category is good for her.
Claiming she could take it no more, the young mother released the emergency brake, allowing her car to roll backwards into the nearby lake.
Good for her.
Okay. Yes, we know murder is bad. Just blanket statement. Okay, I want to talk about this baby and I want to talk about parenting because I mentioned that I just wrote about Julia Ducournau and I wrote about the triple goddess and I wrote about Ra as the maiden, Titane as the mother, and Alpha, her newest one, as the crone. And I highly recommend everyone watch Alpha. I was obsessed with it. I still think Ra is my favorite of the three, but that's because I'm obsessed with cannibalism. But I think, and I kind of had to unpack what mother means here because I think one of the things I see in this movie, especially through Vincent, is there is no one way to be a mother. And being a mother does not depend on your biology. It doesn't necessarily depend on you being able to birth a child or having a uterus or having ovaries. Because the image of Vincent, this man we've seen injecting himself, trying to like pump himself up and be this alpha male, just cradling this baby to his chest, I think that feels like maternal love to me, And I say maternal just because that is the nurturing, caregiving way. I don't mean that through a gendered lens. But Vincent also says, this is something I've talked about in therapy so much. He says, and this is a paraphrase, I didn't get it right. Also, he says it in French too. But he says, you don't take care of me, I take care of you. And to me, that kind of goes back to that unconditional love. Like, as a parent, it's not my kid's job to make my life easier. It's my job to make their life easier. And they will do that for their kids if they choose to have them, or, as a niece, nephew, they will choose to pay that forward in the world somewhere, or the world will just be better because I raised a kid that understands what unconditional love is, So it doesn't necessarily have to be like a cycle. But Rachel, what do you think Titane is saying about pregnancy and being a parent? Or Titane?
Yeah, well, I did want to mention this about Vincent, and maybe the being a parent thing applies to it. Is just I mentioned the idea that like men have expectations and standards too, and I think we see this character really struggling with just gender expectations for him as an aging male figure in a very masculine field. He's got all these young guys around him at the firehouse, right? And we see him struggling to do pull-ups and kind of struggling to maintain that position of like the alpha. I'm using that term loosely here, but like lead male, the captain.
I mean, he does call himself God at one point, so
He does.
yeah.
And so like I do think that applies to the whole like interrogation of gender roles and stuff too. Is like it applies to him too as like a guy. Like he's struggling with how he's presenting himself and like how he's feeling disconnected from his body. I'm sure,
Yeah.
people, even as they get older, like, I feel like I'm 27, but I'm 65. I think he's really struggling with that. And like being a parent, I think even at the beginning, he gets in that like tussle with Alexia and he's telling her like, fight like a man, fight like a man. And she's getting upset and like leaves basically. And it's after that I think he kind of has like a switch flip a little bit. And it's almost like he catches himself being like, I'm doing it again. And it's like ever since that moment, he's much more accepting, I feel like, and is like trying to be like, wait, I'm going to lose my son again. And kind of takes a more like I don't know, just a different approach to be more accepting and unconditional in that way. Because even though he's saying things at first, he doesn't actually, it's like he almost doesn't mean it and then has to kind of check himself, which I love. And like I think that's important because it does kind of show, no, you can like you can, it's okay, like you can correct yourself, like maybe you messed up at one moment, but you can still kind of reroute yourself. What is it saying about pregnancy? Well, number one, I think there's a read here. It's like, is she actually pregnant at all? I'm just saying this. Like, I think this is kind of like, it could be just seen as like Alexia's going through a transformation about who this character is. And ultimately the end could just be like a rebirth. Like maybe that is Alexia. Like, in like in the big picture, she's reborn in a new way and is now has an acceptive parent.
I like
and
that.
can
I think
like
that's fair for sure.
Yeah. I mean, it makes as much sense as she got pregnant by a car. Like,
right, exactly.
I think we're allowed to
We're
have
talking
any
figuratively
take.
anyway.
Yes.
Yeah. Like shed her serial killer ways and like really give herself over to the experience of being unconditionally loved and like sort of starting over, starting anew. And he can have that experience as well. Sort of like a redo.
Yeah.
Whether or not that's actually what's being said here, I don't fucking know. I also think what I like about what it's saying about pregnancy is like, yeah, it's fucking gnarly. It's gnarly. You go through a lot of shit. You don't know what your body's doing. It hits you at weird times. It's really disorienting. You might not connect with what's happening. It's like an invasion of your body in space is how I interpret it. And just like, what is going, every time she looks down, it's like, what is this?
Yeah.
Because you never know what to expect and you have no control over it. It feels like, I don't know. I've never been pregnant.
Nope, that's exactly
like,
right.
Yeah. It's like you have, I just hear, like, I would hear about stuff from my sister all the time. And it's like, what? That sounds miserable. And just like, having no control and just having to deal with it. Like, just, I don't know. But I kind of like just looking at it from like a thematic lens of like, this is her transitioning, transforming, and being reborn anew.
Yeah, I like that. And feels similar to my reading of Inside too, is like, this is more symbolic. What is the story meaning? And I think, once art is out in the world, we get to decide what it means. And I really like that. Maybe her first pregnancy symptoms is like, something's wrong here. Like, I don't feel, because it does happen right after she kills this man. Maybe there's something about that makes her feel like it doesn't align with who she wants to be. And, that's interesting. Shelby, what do you think?
Yeah, I think a lot of it is, she becomes Adrian and it's like she doesn't even know who she is anymore. She doesn't know what her body's doing. Her body should be this way and it's not. And doesn't really have a ton to do with the question, but now that I know all the like theories, I really love the idea that this is not the car's baby, but maybe, like I said, the father, her and the father, there was clearly like something there.
For sure.
And the fact that this might be like her father's baby, like that could also be like, I mean, it would feel as, disgusting and horrible as giving birth to a car monster,
Yeah.
Or a baby out of rape, because it might have been the guy who like
it
tried
might,
to,
exactly. Like it would feel foreign and not like even your own. And like, if this is happening to someone else's body, this can't be my body. And I love that they show like motor oil coming out of her nipples and everything, because it's like these are all things that pregnant women also deal with, is like all these weird unfamiliar things. They're not weird, but like they feel weird, and we don't talk about them that much. And I have a friend who's pregnant right now too, and she's like, there's so much why don't we talk about more of this weird, like these small gross things?
Because we won't
Yeah.
that is what it is, unfortunately.
Yeah.
I really do think so.
I agree. I totally agree. And I think that it says a lot about being a parent, because we see her, I mean, just destroy her own parents, like the bad parents, quote unquote. Like she's just decided that they have to be taken out of the equation. Vincent has decided his child, possibly in theories, my mind is still fucking blown by that. Like, I am like, oh my God, of
Not
course.
my Vincent.
Not my Vincent.
When I saw it, because I immediately was like, "What's going on here with the burn, with the visions and stuff?" And so when I found that thread,
it makes a lot of sense
yeah,
now. I'm just gonna go with that. I've decided that is my also.
That makes sense.
It makes
Tragically.
sense. I know, and it's like he's decided he took his bad child out of the equation, because that's the thing. I mean, aside from Alexia's dad, we don't ever see her mom being bad in any way. But they both decided these two factors in their lives are bad. And it's almost like by coming together, they've realized like these relationships aren't bad. But they can be adjusted, and we can both adjust as people, and we don't have to adjust the rest of the world by her adjusting people by killing them, him adjusting people, maybe his son by killing them. The way he lords over the men that work for him. I mean, like I said earlier, like he calls himself God. Like he really takes his position very seriously. It's a very masculine field. And imagine bringing your more androgynous son around these men and we've seen this new crop of guys who, like, everyone who works for him right now seem pretty young, but 10 years ago it might have been the previous generation still working there, who would have been very unkind to a man who has a son who might be like, he probably might have gotten it from work. And now I'm just like saying stuff that wasn't even in the movie.
No, but I picked up on that too. And I also came away from this movie with this idea that, like, as a parent, it is my job to advocate for a child. And they might need me to do that in a place that will make me feel uncomfortable, but that's still my job.
Exactly. Especially because there was like ribbing, obviously unkind ribbing from the men, from the boys, firemen. They have a whole term
Fire
for them.
boys.
Fire boys from the Fire Boys. But I bet it was not nearly as bad, and it was bordering what he had heard before, because he like nips it in the bud real quick, and it's like, and he's very like, and they seem shocked by it. They're like, whoa, okay, like, I mean, you brought this weirdo around, but like, yeah, like you usually think these types of jokes are funny, and like this is real strange, to the point where one of his men is like, I'm gonna look into this. This isn't right. Like, no. Like, I feel like Vincent's reaction to everything was what set off is his name Rayan?
I think I just sounds like Rayan Graff from my
other Fireboy number 1. He, just because he has more lines, but he like, I feel like was more Vincent's reaction to Adrian, and like reaction to them treating Adrian, was that what set him off to be like, I'm going to look into this more, less than Adrian himself,
Yeah.
So, I think it talks a lot about like how to be a parent, how to be a child. Does the child need to be anything other than just your child? And as a parent, what do you need to be? So, yes. Period.
Sammy, what do you think? And is this good for her?
I think it really captures the feeling that a pregnant body is no longer entirely one's own, It's sort of a vessel that's being used, and oftentimes leaves the parent feeling like an alien in their own skin. And like, I genuinely just can't imagine how that must feel. And I think she's highlighting, the brutal physical reality of pregnancy, the pain, the scars, and the war zone of the body, which is rarely discussed openly in our society, let alone popular films, that win the Palme d'Or. Like, this is just not something that we like to see or talk about. It's why a lot of times these movies don't do very well. People hate female experiences and talking about them and seeing them on the big screen. So I think it's really awesome that this film does that. It's forcing us to kind of look at, like, put a magnifying glass up to something that we historically haven't really talked about.
Yeah.
And I also think it's suggesting that family is not about bloodlines. It's about choosing to care for one another. And Vincent does that, and Alexia does that. They both do that for each other. So I think the message she's trying to convey about parenthood can be defined in the film's final moments by Vincent's words, "I'm here."
Yeah.
He's holding himself accountable for the child, regardless of its bizarre, non-human origins. And that's what it means to be a parent, that even in a chaotic, monstrous world, love can be found and built, allowing for a form of redemption for both characters. Now, is it good for her horror? I wasn't sure where I would land on this question, but after doing some research and sort of stewing on it today, I think the point of the ending is not to scare or creep us out, about the baby. In fact, it's actually supposed to be an optimistic ending. The director described it as, "I feel that my movie is pretty optimistic. It's about the birth of a new world. A new humanity that is stronger because it's monstrous. It's no longer an abnormality. It's actually become something very positive." And in the same interview, that's with Vanity Fair, she explains that she dreamed up this movie after having a reoccurring nightmare about giving birth to car parts. I just heard a car in the background, so that was really
It was
weird.
on my end.
Okay.
Yeah, sorry about that. Yeah.
No, not sorry. Kind of
That's my new
timing.
boyfriend.
Yeah,
This is
ambiance.
my
Yeah.
the reveal.
Yes,
My new
yes.
boyfriend.
But she says, it was a reoccurring nightmare about giving birth to car parts. It was drawing to her, but she was drawn to the contrast of the fantasy, birth and death, a cold, lifeless metal object merging with humanity. That became the driving point for the plot, helping her crack the overriding theme of the birth of love. And that in itself feels good for her, for me. But as for Alexia, I'm unsure she's free from the pain in the end. Maybe death is the ultimate release, and if we're to follow Rachel saying, maybe she is reborn in that baby. But at least she gets to experience unconditional love in those few short moments together, and I think that's all any of us are looking for. So yeah, that does feel good for her, as like the overall tone of the film. Alexia, I'm not sure if she feels like her ending is. It just really depends on how you look at it.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that was my biggest kind of hurdle with getting to good for her, because I think this is very good for me in a lot of ways, and it's got the vibes of good for her.
Yeah.
Because I think anytime we're really exploring and holding a magnifying glass up to what pregnancy is actually like, that is good for her. Anytime we see a woman have to go through what Alexia goes through and it brings those kind of things that we don't talk about to light, I think that's good for her.
Absolutely.
But I also was like, but she has to die for all
Yeah.
of this to happen. But Rachel, I like your interpretation
do
of
too.
that.
Mhm.
And I think that could help me get to good for her there, because and I think what I love about this, what feels good, is that there's no right way to be a parent. There's a lot of wrong ways to be a parent, but the thing that you have to do is you have to be there,
Yeah.
and I think Alexia gets to hear that first before she dies, and then the baby hears it. And so it does feel like this kind of passing of the torch or a rebirth, so, and that feels good for her. But Rachel, what do you think? Is this good for her?
Yes, I think it is. And like a couple different key moments that make me lean more towards that. One, I don't think we talked about is when she climbs up on the fire truck and dances in front of all the guys.
Yeah.
Because like moments before she was moshing around, very also again very masculine, right? Look at all
Yeah.
these sweaty
Yep.
guys dancing around with their shirts off, like
it's
punch,
very aggro.
very
Yes.
gender normative behavior there.
Mhm.
And then, but I like the moment where she's dancing, but they're kind of like thinking that she's presenting in more of a male perspective. But I love it because you think about it at the beginning when she's dancing, she's getting autographs for this. Guys are just like ogling her constantly.
Yes.
Like it's like a very sexy thing. And here she's doing that basically the exact same thing, but just presenting differently. And nobody knows what to do with this information.
Yeah.
Like I wouldn't say they're like horrified, but like nobody says anything, but they're like watching, and it's almost like they don't know how to process that. But she keeps dancing.
Yeah.
She's going, and so like to me that's her being like, I don't care what you think in this moment anymore,
Yeah.
and I'm gonna do it anyways, and like whatever. Like
Yeah.
I'm having you wanted me to dance, I'm gonna dance. And I so for me that's good for her. And then finally I think the moment where it really becomes good for her is when actually presents who she is to Vincent. I mean,
Yeah.
mainly because her skin is bursting open and she doesn't really have any other choice. But when she's like fully revealed who she is, and even with the towel, and he, covers her up and is basically like, I love you no matter what or whatever. And then like finally asking for help back.
Yeah.
Because he's kind of extending this olive branch
Yeah.
to her multiple times over, but then and he is almost like horrified and like, I don't know what the fuck to do with this. And is
Yeah.
gonna like walk out the door. But it's when she says, I'm scared, like help me,
Yeah, don't leave
basically.
me.
Yeah.
And that's what brings them back together. And so for me, that's like such a vulnerable thing for her to do, and that she's willing to do that and actually show who she is in all of her metal pregnant
Yeah.
gross glory in that moment, and to be that vulnerable with him. That's good for her, because you like thinking about Alexia at the beginning, it's like that's something she would never do, is
Yeah.
put herself in that position. Like she would just kill this person and move on. And so I really think that she comes full circle, and is willing to not only care for somebody else but allow them to care for her in return, and just kind of
Yeah.
realizes like,
Yeah.
okay, I might not have had that love with my other parents, but that doesn't mean I can't find it elsewhere.
Yeah. And I love because they're not holding hands, but they're like grasping each other's arms and they're just staring at each other. And it's just this moment of like really connecting, you know?
Yeah.
And I remember when my son was like 2 weeks old, I just had this moment where we were walking and I just was like looking at his eyes and he was a
Aw.
tiny little baby, but just this idea that like we are connecting, we get each other on this weird level. And it's like I've never had that experience again. It was just,
Well,
and it felt kind of like that, you know?
Yeah.
And I will. We talked about the incest zone. I think it's also interesting that when she needs help, she started like kissing him
Yes.
and
Yeah.
stuff, and that's why he kind of
Yeah.
walked out the
Yeah.
door. But I think that
Because
was
that's how
like
she's been trained to get
Trained,
help.
yes.
Yeah,
a
or to
coping
relate to a
mechanism, right?
father
Like this
figure.
is how
Yeah.
I get something. Like this is the only reason why you would care for me, is if I do this for you. And so I like
Yeah.
that moment too, because it's like
Yeah.
you can't blame her. Like I get
No,
it, but then
yeah.
also he's like not interested in that. And then
That's not what
I
he
thi-
wants from her.
No.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Shelby, what do you think? Good for her?
This is a hard one. I've thought about this
Yeah.
since I was watching it
Yeah.
because now hearing that the director said that it's like an optimistic movie, it's so strange to me because I wouldn't have said it's good for her because to me, I read a lot. And again, I know this is like a choose your own adventure movie, but from what I read from this movie was ultimately she destroyed a lot of other lives and her own
Mhm.
life to try to find her happiness. And to me, I did feel like joy at the end when Vincent is holding the baby, but I
Yeah.
felt this deep sadness of like she like destroyed so much to get to where she
Mhm.
was. And I think
Yeah.
that ultimately, unfortunately, that because of society,
Yeah.
that is what happens a lot of times is you can't find yourself, you can't get to yourself. So along the way, you're just sort of angry and grasping, and you don't necessarily kill a lot of people, but we just watch her. I mean, other than the guy at the beginning in the car, or that accosts her at the car, and but everyone else seemed pretty darn innocent, other
Yeah.
than maybe maybe her dad, but her mom, we never really see her mom do anything bad. Her mom's the one
Yeah.
who's like, "Oh, you need to examine her." Like her mom seems pretty concerned.
Jerome
And
gives her a hug too.
Yeah.
He's like,
Yeah.
"Hey, you want my bed here? I'll
Yeah,
take care of you."
So I
And
think seeing her take away so many people who are innocent in at least in those moments, I just don't feel like I can fully give it a good for her because I
Yeah.
feel like we've seen this played out in people we know where like
Yeah.
you see the good in them and you see that they're grasping for something that is good, but there's something about they can't hone it into a point where they're not destroying everyone around them while on that journey. And it's like at
Yeah.
some point we've all known those people, and at some point we've all had to step back from those people because it's like I can't make you, I can't figure this out for you.
Yeah.
And I also cannot get, this can't be a crab in the pot situation. I can't get dragged down either. And I feel like in the end, she just succumbs to like a lot of her own rage and her own I don't know, her own and again, overall it's maybe not her fault against society. I think society is a reason for a lot of this happening in
Yeah.
different various people, but I just like I can't quite say good for her because of the journey we get to, and then her ultimately passing away, even if she does bring a new child. And I love the read though of that being her and it's a rebirth. I personally just cannot get there with
Yeah.
my reading of it.
Yeah, and I think I was thinking about that a lot too, because it feels like the first half of this, for me, it feels like that is when she is not accepted. And it's just everything is violent, everything is bad, everything there. And it feels like everybody else is suffering too. And I think the thing that I like about that, because I think we see so many trans and queer people have to absorb suffering from everyone
Yeah,
else. I like that
absolutely.
the suffering is spreading to everyone else. But that's a tragedy. These
Yeah.
people, Justine doesn't deserve to die. Jerome doesn't deserve to die. And Alexia doesn't deserve to die. I mean, we could have a conversation about, the incarceration, but like it is a tragedy that she ends up dead. And I think that's
Yeah.
part of what I love about French Extremity too, is like
That's and that's what
sometimes,
I like about it. It's like it's not
yeah,
to me, it's not good for her, but I like that. I like that it is a
yeah.
tragedy, So
Yeah, no, I agree. And like, can we find good in the midst of tragedy? Because that, in a lot of
yeah.
ways, is more realistic than a lot of Hell Yeah movies. As much as I love the Hell Yeah movies because they feel aspirational, this feels more real. So we're conflicted, and it's complicated. We'll say it's complicated for our good for her. But are we going to die for this movie? Let's find out in our penultimate category, Die for Me.
Look at her. I would die for her. I would kill for her. Either way, what bliss.
I'm absolutely gonna die for this movie. I don't know when I'll watch it again because it's just a hard watch and it brings up a lot of feelings, but I think this was a and I don't think I would have been ready to watch this all the way through the first time I watched it. Like, I think I just needed to be in a different place in my life, and I really am glad that I watched it now because I got so much out of it. It helped me put some things in perspective, and it gave me, I think, some courage to maybe do some things that I'm kind of afraid to do, with being a parent. Because again, being a parent is not easy, and it's you know so anyways, um, but I love watching this movie because it's like it is a tragedy, but it's also kind of a beautiful tragedy, and it's
Yeah.
one of those times when I have to remind myself that it it feels so real, but it's not. And so what I can take from this is how I apply it to my life. And again, it's part of what I love about French Extremity. It's like what I feel seen and I feel heard and I feel understood. And I also look at my own life and my own actions and I say, okay, well, what do I need to change here or what can I change? And because to me, this movie, I come away from this movie thinking, how can I be the best parent that I can be? That's kind of what it says to me. And also pregnancy is very hard. And I like all of those things. That's very much Gen bait. Shelby, are you going to die for this movie?
Good. I absolutely love this movie. I can't wait to revisit it again. And, especially with now having had this conversation, like with all of that in mind. And maybe if I watch it again, I'll switch to Good for Her. But, I just wanted to stay true to my feelings
No,
and
yeah.
No, of course.
yeah, and I absolutely love this movie. I think it's a beautiful tragedy in the way that, like, a very classic tale like Eurydice. Eurydice is never going to make it out of Hades.
Yeah.
And but it's such a beautiful story and we want her to every single time. And so I really love this movie and I have all my respect for parents and parenthood. And I think because of my respect for it is why I don't have children.
Sammy, what about you? Are you going to die for Titane or Titane?
I think everything about this movie is uncomfortable because the subjects it's covering are, it's exploring themes of gender and sexuality in a non-normative way, something that, you guessed it, is uncomfortable for more than half of our population. Because, I think that's the point. Pregnancy shouldn't be portrayed as comfortable. Watching someone feel as if they're in the wrong body shouldn't be comfortable either.
Mhm.
And I think the film's exploration of this bodily transformation, identity, human machine interfaces and unconventional relationships aligns with the broader discussions surrounding the complexity of human sexuality in this rapidly changing world that we live in. So therefore, yes, I would die for it, despite not wanting to press play again anytime soon.
Yeah. Well, and I keep forgetting to talk about this too, and I'll do it briefly because I know we're going a little bit long, but like your earrings, part of what I love about Jen in Revenge wearing those earrings is that it's this reminder that she can be strong and feminine at the same
Yeah,
time.
exactly.
And I think that's what we see at this dance at the end, Rachel, that you brought up. And also in her weapon, like this is a hairpin.
Yeah.
And there's so much of me that wants to read it as a phallic weapon because it is. It is a penetrative phallic weapon that serves as an extension of her body, but it's also used to tie her hair back. And so I love that it can be both things at the same time because we don't have to live in this strict dichotomy. We can transcend what the world tells us that we're supposed to be, through being a parent or through being just a human being. Rachel, what about you? Are you going to die for Titane?
Yeah, I am. And I love this movie, even just like for all the different reads that are out there, and even for people that like have a lot of issues with it. I think that's fascinating, and I think I just really admire her ability and willingness to not give us all the answers. Like you read interviews, and it's almost like she's like, "I'm not gonna
Playing
fucking tell you.
coy.
Figure
Yeah.
it out for yourself."
It's like very
You know?
Lynchian.
Yeah, and like I like that open-endedness because I like that ability to have so many different reads, and it's like none of them are wrong, but I love like I truly value what this movie offers me and like just me personally. So I'm like I would absolutely die for this a million times over, and just this I don't know, just affirmation like you don't have to fit into a box, and that doesn't make you any less of any one thing, and just like don't take what people tell you you're supposed to be too seriously sometimes. I mean, don't go out and kill people, of course, but
Yes,
I
we know
think it's
murder
just
is bad.
of course. Like I just think it's a really interesting, complex interrogation of gender identity and gender stereotypes and normative roles and just everything that encapsulates in a way that it's just I would never imagine, because this is like a girl who has sex with multiple cars.
Yeah.
And like I just those two things you wouldn't think gel together, but somehow she does bring it together so well with a character that's like really not very likable. Like let's be honest, do any of us want to hang out with Alexia?
No.
I'm not so sure. She seems like a
Try to
tough
bite my
hang.
boobs. Yes.
Yeah, seems like a tough hang. She needs some more therapy and stuff. And but I like that. And she doesn't make any apologies for the fact that this is kind of an unlikable character, but still is like, that's okay. A female lead villain can be unlikable and kind of brutal and complicated and ambiguous, and that's fine.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
that's
Men
fine.
get to be
And
like anti-heroes all the time. All the time.
all the time. And be very mysterious and not
And
say much and just
curmudgeonly
And
and
unknowable.
Yes.
Mhm.
Yes.
Yeah.
So I love having an unknowable, but very also like this performance is so good. She does so
It is.
good.
It's a brilliant performance.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
and also lots of gross stuff too. So even on a horror level, I would just die for it. So,
yeah.
but also I don't know if I'll be watching it again anytime soon. But I love what the movie dishes out to me.
Well, and in the spirit of not fitting into one box, I also love when we have a lot of different reads just within our group too. Like it's
course,
just, I
always.
feel like I like when we're aligned and we're like, yeah, but I also love it when we all bring kind of our own personal experiences to a movie. I think that this is the kind of film that I think gets bigger the more you dive into it,
Totally.
you know?
Yeah.
And on that note, let's wrap up with what's coming next.
Unlock the next configuration. And then the last. No. I've done enough. Enough is a myth.
If you want to follow the show, you can do that on Twitter at The Lady K Pod, on Instagram and Blue Sky at The Lady Killers Pod. You can find me at Jim Ferratu. I've been trying to post when I write stuff. I also just wrote a thing about The Final Girl, so that was fun.
You did, and it was so good. So good.
If you want to hear me write about phallic weapons, because that is something I also tend to talk about, you can find me on The Losers Club. We're ranking Stephen King. On Murder Made Fiction, we're talking about the Black Dahlia. And Girls on the Boys, man, season 5 is in full swing. It's fucking great. That was the fucked up shit that Rachel and I talked about earlier that I alluded to earlier in the episode, because there's a lot of shit that went down in the most recent episode. Shelby, where can listeners find you?
You can find me on the Bloody Disgusting podcast every week. Or actually, I lied because we just took a week off recently. So every most weeks.
Well, by the time this comes out, you'll be back.
Yeah, you won't
action.
even notice. Don't even worry about it. What? And you can find me on the Scare You to Sleep podcast. Go listen to Scare You to Sleep. It's my baby. And you can find me on Instagram if you want to follow me on social media. I mostly stick around Instagram at Shelby B. Novak.
I keep trying to make this joke like, did you get pregnant from a podcast and that's what Scare You to Sleep is? It's your podcast, baby.
Yes.
This podcast made me pregnant. That sounds like a Lifetime movie.
And she didn't even need a man.
Stalked
either.
by my podcast.
Yeah.
She's
Sammy,
just like
where
Titane.
can we find you? Yeah, it is.
Yeah, she didn't, she's like the Virgin Mary over here.
We can't stop her from dancing on cars.
Yes, no, we
too,
can't. As always, you guys can find me at SRK Doll on Instagram, Letterboxd, and Twitter, and then running the socials for the Losers Club and for us. As always, I like to end with a suggestion for the week. I really suggest you guys watch Widow's Bay. It's only 2 episodes right now. They dropped 2 on Apple TV Plus. And by the time this comes out, there will probably be, I think, like 5 or 6 out. It is so good. It's a Stephen King novel meets The Fog. It's just I'm having a blast with it. I loved the first 2 episodes. It's really funny too. And I'm excited to see where it goes.
Rachel, where can listeners find you?
You can find me on Instagram and Letterboxd at The Vinyl Girl. And on Halloweenies, Hellraiser 4-time, baby. We're also covering Ghoulies for our aisle commentary. And what else? Oh, Frailty. So that will be a lot of fun as well. So come check us out over on Halloweenies.
And that is our episode on Titane. Was thinking maybe we would figure it out by the end of the episode, but you know what? We're good. I'm not taking French AP anymore. Thank you so much to my esteemed panel and listeners. Thank you so much for joining us. If you liked this episode, please give us a quick rate and review on Apple Podcasts. We would also love to hear from you. I know we talked about a lot of different readings. We want to hear your interpretation of this movie, too. You can comment on Spotify, or you can email us at ladykillersrage@gmail.com. We got it. And we are going to be back next week with another pregnancy horror movie, and it is a favorite of mine, even though it's a little bit messy. We are watching The Hand That Rocks the Cradle, and I'm so fucking excited.
OG remake.
OG.
Just, although I didn't mind the remake.
I may check out the remake because I have not seen it yet.
It's not bad. It's not. It's totally different. I
thought Mike liked it too.
Yeah,
right?
we both liked it. It's very it's not just a carbon copy of the original. It's a new new version of it.
So yes, our official episode will be on the original, but some other remake
Future date.
Yes. But until then, remember, ladies and ladies, support women's rights, support women's wrongs, and remember, abortion is healthcare and trans rights are human rights.